PL-600 Microsoft Certification Power Platform Solution Architect. All question and answer. A Microsoft Power Platform solution you are working on for a logistics company is about to go live. A developer releases a new version of the solution that has several updates in the quality assurance (QA) environment. The QA team must verify that prior functionality continues to work and that users can still log into the app successfully. You need to identify the type of testing the QA team needs to perform to meet requirements. Which type of testing should the QA team perform? Option 1, Functional. Option 2, Go-Live. Option 3, Performance. Option 4, Regression. Correct answers: Regression. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the different testing types and how they are used to identify factors that might affect Go-Live. Regression testing is performed to ensure changes or updates to a solution have not introduced any unintended side effects or caused existing functionality to break. Functional testing verifies the broad functional requirements, but it does not test the unchanged functions when a system update has taken place. Performance tests verify expected peak load and peak transaction volume and are typically automated and run before Go-Live. Go-Live testing is a dry run of the complete solution. The Go-Live process is typically performed just before Go-Live occurs. A company goes live with a Microsoft Power Platform solution. A user identifies issues with the model-driven app and the solution. You review the issues and determine that there is a problem with a client-side script. You need to ensure the issues are triaged for support. To whom should you assign the issues? Option 1, Data Analyst. Option 2, Developer. Option 3, Functional Consultant. Option 4, Project Manager. Correct answers: Developer. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of remediating issues during a Go-Live. The developer is the correct person on the project team to deal with these specific issues arising out of the Go-Live. The developer will have detailed knowledge relating to code and client-side scripting and therefore will be the ideal person to resolve the issues. The project manager will not have detailed technical knowledge regarding the overall solution. The project manager's area of expertise is in managing the project. Although the functional consultant will have detailed knowledge regarding model-driven Microsoft Power Apps, the issues are related to client-side scripting, which has been created by a developer. Therefore, ensuring the issues are triaged to the developer will ensure they are resolved promptly. A data analyst will typically not be able to advise and resolve technical aspects of Power Apps because the analyst specializes in working with tools such as Power BI. A company goes live with a model-driven app. Users report that they have difficulty using the app. The project team determines the problems are due to networking issues and incompatible web browsers. You need to propose a solution to prevent similar Go-Live issues in future projects. What should you propose? Option 1, simplify the Go-Live plans. Option 2, implement a rollback strategy as part of the Go-Live process. Option 3, perform user acceptance testing (UAT) as part of the Go-Live process. Option 4, perform data migration activities earlier in the Go-Live process. Correct answers: perform user acceptance testing (UAT) as part of the Go-Live process. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying and mitigating common Go-Live issues. A UAT phase during a project is designed to gain formal acceptance of a solution by its intended group of users, and it often identifies issues that will be problematic after the Go-Live. By including a UAT phase in this scenario, the project team could have identified the unsupported web browsers and networking issues and mitigated them before going live with the solution. Simplifying a Go-Live plan can be useful in reducing the risk of problems arising and in communicating the broad strategy to non-technical users. However, it would not have identified and mitigated the specific issues mentioned. A rollback strategy can be used when it is necessary to revert to a previous business system or process that the new solution is replacing. However, although useful in ensuring business continuity, this strategy would not have identified and mitigated the specific issues mentioned. Data migration activities should be carried out regularly to help with validation testing and development efforts. However, although useful in these respects, performing these activities would not have identified and mitigated the specific issues mentioned. A company has 4 Microsoft Power Platform environments: development, quality assurance, QA, user acceptance testing, UAT, and production. The company requires a solution to automatically move documents from a network shared folder to SharePoint daily. The same instance of SharePoint is used for the QA and UAT environments. The network shared folders are different. You create a scheduled cloud flow that will run at 6 p.m. daily to move the documents. You deploy the solution from the QA environment to the UAT environment. Users test the flow and discover that some documents they did not generate are now present in the SharePoint location. You need to resolve this automation conflict. What should you do? Option 1. Delete the documents in the SharePoint document library. Option 2. Delete the documents in the UAT network shared folder. Option 3. Turn off the cloud flow in the QA environment. Option 4. Turn off the cloud flow in the UAT environment. Correct answers: turn off the cloud flow in the QA environment. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of resolving automation conflicts. Automation conflicts can arise from having multiple flows with the same trigger event configured. This can lead to unexpected behavior or duplication of actions. In the scenario, the flow was active in both environments and set to run at the same time, thereby causing a conflict when the documents were migrated. It is therefore necessary to turn off the flow in the QA environment because it is not required for the users to carry out the UAT testing. Turning off the flow in the UAT environment will not resolve the problem because the users are testing the automation in the UAT environment. The flow in the UAT environment ensures the documents added by the users into the network shared folder will be migrated to the SharePoint location. Turning this off will make the test unsuccessful and will not resolve the conflict. Deleting the documents in the SharePoint document library will not resolve this conflict because SharePoint is the target environment where the documents are automatically migrated to. If the documents are deleted and there is another run of the flow at 6:00 p.m., the conflict will persist and the documents that the users did not generate will be migrated again. Deleting the documents in the UAT network shared folder will not resolve this conflict because the documents need to be migrated from the UAT network shared folder to the SharePoint site. Deleting these documents will terminate the test process. A company has 3 Microsoft Power Platform environments: development, user acceptance testing, UAT, and production. The company creates an application. Data needs to be migrated into the new application from another system. You are creating the data migration strategy. A specified group of users in the company must be able to test the quality and quantity of the data after the data is migrated. You need to verify that the data can be tested. How should you test the quality and quantity of the data? Option 1. Import the data into the UAT environment and test it. Option 2. Import the data into a newly created environment and test it. Option 3. Import the data into the production environment and test it. Option 4. Import the data into the development environment and test it. Correct answers: import the data into a newly created environment and test it. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of data migration strategy. Migrated data needs to be imported into a separate environment for testing to ensure accurate testing of the data's quality and quantity. Migrated data should not be imported into the development environment because this environment is for the development of applications. The UAT environment is also inappropriate for migrated data because this will enable user acceptance testing users to modify the migrated data, which will alter the test of the data's quality and quantity. Migrated data should also not be imported into the production environment because this environment is for live applications, not testing. A company implements Dynamics 365 Sales. The company also has an on-premises ERP system. There is no API for the ERP system. You need to design an integration between the ERP system and Sales. Which capability should you recommend? Option 1. Azure Functions. Option 2. Azure Logic Apps. Option 3. Cloud Flow. Option 4. Desktop Flow. Correct answers: Desktop Flow. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of Microsoft Power Platform components and Dynamics 365 apps. There is no API for the ERP system in this scenario. Therefore, the solution must log into the system on a machine and use the UI to extract the needed data. This can be done by using a desktop flow. Cloud flows work only when there is a RESTful API for a system. The system also must be accessible from the cloud. Because there is no API for the ERP system, Cloud Flows cannot be used for the integration. Logic Apps has many of the same restrictions and limitations that Cloud Flows have. Logic Apps requires an API. Azure Functions also requires an API. A company implements a model-driven app to support its sales team. The app does not meet all the user's requirements. You plan to extend the app by using a custom Microsoft Power Apps component to resolve the issue. You need to evaluate whether the component will work as intended. Which approach should you use? Option 1, an out-of-the-box demo. Option 2, a pre-built demo. Option 3, a proof of concept. Option 4, a prototype. Correct answers: a proof of concept. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the different approaches to test and evaluate solutions. For the evaluation required in the scenario, a proof of concept is the appropriate approach to use. A proof of concept will show not only the standard functionality, but it also will take the specific requirements into consideration for the scope and context of the existing solution. An out-of-the-box demo includes standard functionality without any customization. Because you need to evaluate whether the approach of creating a custom component meets the requirements, an out-of-the-box demo is not sufficient. Pre-sales teams usually use pre-built demos. These demos do have a few customizations, but they are still generic and not altered to a customer's specific requirements. A prototype is in between a proof of concept and an out-of-the-box demo, meaning it has some customization and considers the customer's requirements. But it does not fully implement the requirements, rather, it tries to show what might be possible to do when the requirements are implemented. A company plans to implement a new ticket management system. Customers will be able to create tickets to report issues with the company's services. You are in the solution planning phase. You need to recommend the appropriate Dynamics 365 product for the implementation. Which product should you recommend? Option 1, Dynamics 365 Customer Service. Option 2, Dynamics 365 Field Service. Option 3, Dynamics 365 Customer Insights Journeys. Option 4, Dynamics 365 Sales. Correct answers: Dynamics 365 Customer Service. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the differences among the customer engagement apps for Dynamics 365. Dynamics 365 Customer Service is the app where tickets and cases are handled. Customers can create new tickets through the mail or a website, for example, if they have an issue with a product or service the company sells. Dynamics 365 Field Service is for handling field workers. These are the people who drive to customer locations to fix issues on site. Field Service also lets you manage the hardware and inventory you and your customers have. Dynamics 365 Sales is a classic customer relationship management (CRM) system. It is mainly used to handle sales within an organization. Dynamics 365 Customer Insights Journeys is the marketing solution of Dynamics 365. You can send different marketing campaigns, such as by mail, to different segments to optimize your marketing output. A company plans to use Microsoft Power Platform. External users submit complaints to the company by email. The company needs to build a solution to manage the complaints. The solution must meet the following requirements. Enable the self-creation of a user profile. Include multi-factor authentication to confirm the user's identity. Enable users to submit complaints and access real-time support. You need to recommend the components to meet the requirements. Which two components should you recommend? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, Microsoft Power Apps. Option 2, Microsoft Power Automate. Option 3, Microsoft Power Pages. Option 4, Custom Agent. Correct answers: Microsoft Power Pages, Custom Agent. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of Microsoft Power Platform solution components. Power Pages can create a website that the public can access and where user profiles can be created, multi-factor authentication can be implemented, and complaints can be submitted. Power Virtual Agents can be integrated into Power Pages to ensure real-time access to support from the website when required. Power Apps provides an environment for rapid creation of applications. It does not have the ability to create a website that the public can access and where user profiles can be created, multi-factor authentication can be implemented, and complaints can be submitted. It also does not allow the self-creation of a profile by anyone in the public. Although a Canvas application can be shared with guest users, the users would need to be created in Microsoft Entra ID first. Power Automate is used to automate tasks in business processes. It does not give the ability to create a website that is accessible to the public. A company requires a Dynamics 365 app that can use the data model within the company's Microsoft Dataverse environment. You need to identify which Dynamics 365 app can be installed in Dataverse. Which 3 Dynamics 365 apps should you select? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Option 1, Sales. Option 2, Finance. Option 3, Field Service. Option 4, Business Central. Option 5, Dynamics 365 Customer Insights, Data. Correct answers: Sales, Field Service, Customer Service. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of Dynamics 365 apps and how these can be used to solve business requirements for organizations using Microsoft Power Platform. Each of the Dynamics 365 customer engagement apps use key functionality within Microsoft Power Platform, such as Dataverse, Power Apps, and Power Automate. Integrating Dynamics 365 apps in Microsoft Power Platform will lead to a more streamlined experience and can more quickly address requirements that Microsoft Power Platform alone cannot. Sales, Field Service, and Customer Service can all be installed directly on top of Dataverse and use existing data models built within it. Business Central is a business management solution for small to medium-sized organizations and is designed to provide accounting and business management functionality. Finance is an ERP tool designed for large organizations with complex accounting processes. Both Business Central and Finance do not use Dataverse as their underlying data source. Dynamics 365 Customer Insights Data is a customer data platform tool that allows organizations to understand customer behaviors and trends. Although it can consume data from Dataverse, the app is not reliant on Dataverse and does not use Dataverse as its underlying data source. A company requires an integration of its Microsoft Power Platform implementation with another system. During the planning phase, you discover the other system has an open RESTful API. You also discover there is data from the other system in both Canvas apps and Microsoft Power Automate. The integration must be extendable by citizen developers without help from developers. You need to recommend the appropriate capability to create the base for the integration. Which capability should you recommend? Option 1, Plugin. Option 2, Cloudflow. Option 3, Azure Functions. Option 4, Custom Connector. Correct answers: Custom Connector. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of different components of Microsoft Power Platform as well as when to use which component. Custom connectors can be reused in Canvas apps and Cloudflows as well as Azure Logic apps. To be able to create a custom connector, the system that you integrate with needs a RESTful API. Azure Functions can integrate with the other system, but Azure Functions cannot be reused, and a developer is needed whenever a change is required. Plugins only run in Dataverse and cannot be reused by Power Automate or Canvas apps on their own. They also require a developer whenever a change is needed. Cloudflows can be used, but there would not be any reuse effect because every request would have to be done manually with HTTP requests. A company that uses Microsoft Power Platform needs to develop a solution for managing meeting rooms. You are leading the requirement gathering session for the meeting room request application. You need to propose a functional requirement for this solution. What should you recommend? Option 1, the application should include the ability to receive approval requests by emails. Option 2, the application should enable 100,000 concurrent users. Option 3, the application must give users the ability to request a meeting room after work hours. Option 4, access to update data in the application should be granted only to the facilities department. Correct answers: the application should include the ability to receive approval requests by emails. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of functional requirements. Functional requirements are features of the solution that are implemented so business users can achieve their tasks. These types of requirements describe what the solution needs to do. The ability to receive approval requests by email is a functional requirement. Non-functional requirements are non-behavior requirements. They are the requirements required to support and maintain the solution and describe how the solution needs to perform in terms of scalability, availability, and security. Scaling the solution, granting access to data, and providing availability of the solution are non-functional requirements. A company uses Microsoft Power Automate. Data is stored in Microsoft Dataverse. You are designing the automation strategy. Cloud flows must be created to perform a series of actions on the data in Dataverse. You need to ensure all the steps work or none of them work. What should you do? Option 1, create a child flow. Option 2, create a change set. Option 3, add a parallel branch. Option 4, add the configure run after setting. Correct answers: create a change set. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of an automation strategy that uses Power Automate. Change set is an action that allows a series of actions to be performed on the data in Dataverse where all the steps work or none of them work. Parallel branches enable multiple actions or tasks to be executed concurrently. Configure run after is a setting in a flow step that can be modified to manage errors. Child flows can be created as independent units of logic and can be reused in multiple parent flows or in the same flow. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform and the Dynamics 365 Sales mobile app. Some users report that the Sales app is difficult to use on their mobile device. You need to identify the Microsoft Power Platform component that can resolve the user's issue. Which component should you select? Option 1, Custom Connector. Option 2, Microsoft Power Apps Canvas app. Option 3, Microsoft Power Automate Cloud Flow. Option 4, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Field Service mobile app. Correct answers: Microsoft Power Apps Canvas app. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of when to use which Microsoft Power Platform component for mobile devices as well as when an optimization is appropriate. A Power Apps Canvas app can be created to be optimized for mobile devices, including a mobile-friendly UI/UX that makes it easier for users to use the Sales app. The Canvas app can also contain just a part of the whole solution. Custom connectors are used to connect Power Automate and other parts of Microsoft Power Platform to custom APIs. A custom connector will not improve the user's experience with the Sales app. Power Automate cloud flows are used to automate processes. They can replace some user interaction with data. By using a cloud flow, the solution would not include the Sales app and therefore users would not be able to access the data. The Field Service mobile app can be used only when the Field Service first-party app is also used. The scenario does not specify that Field Service is used. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. A citizen developer at the company creates a Microsoft Power Apps Canvas app for personal productivity in the default environment. The app is going to be made available to everyone in the company. You need to decide which environment type you should use to run the app. Which environment type should you use? Option 1, Development. Option 2, Production. Option 3, Sandbox. Option 4, Trial. Correct answers: Production. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the different environment types. Production is the appropriate environment for this scenario because its purpose is to run apps in production mode. This type of environment gets more resources, which makes it more performant. In addition, production environments have a longer backup retention period. Development environments are intended for personal development and learning. They are not intended for production use. Sandbox environments are intended for all environments in a pipeline that are not production, such as test or development environments. This type of environment has fewer resources than a production environment. Trial environments are intended to test new functionality and create quick proof of concepts. They are not intended to be used in a production environment pipeline. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The Human Resources Supervisor requires a solution to manage the monthly performance of employees. Developers create a Canvas app to meet this requirement. The app contains several components across many screens. Employees provide feedback that the app takes more than 20 seconds to load. The app has a low adoption rate. You need to recommend solutions to improve the app's performance. Which two solutions should you recommend? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Option 1, add non-delegable functions. Option 2, apply a control dependency. Option 3, reduce the number of controls that are used. Option 4, use the concurrent function. Correct answers, reduce the number of controls that are used. Use the concurrent function. Explanation, this item tests the candidate's knowledge of assessing the solution performance. To improve the performance of a Canvas app, the concurrent function should be used because it increases the performance of the app by enabling multiple formulas specified within the same property to be evaluated at the same time. Another way to improve the performance of a Canvas app is to reduce the number of controls that are used. The more controls used, the less responsive the Canvas app can become. Using non-delegable functions will process the data locally on the app, which reduces the performance of the app. The use of delegable functions is recommended to improve the performance of a Canvas app because they ensure the data processing is handled by the data source rather than locally on the app. Control dependencies in Canvas apps should be avoided because they can cause performance issues. For example, using a control on screen 2 of your app in screen 1 means that when you load screen 1, the app must also load screen 2. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. You are designing an integration with another cloud-based system. You are using an Azure service for the integration. You need to ensure users get an immediate response from the system after a request is processed. Which Azure service should you use? Option 1, Event Hubs. Option 2, Relay. Option 3, Service Bus Queue. Option 4, Service Bus Topic. Correct answers, Relay. Explanation, this item tests the candidate's knowledge of Azure services and how to use them to extend Microsoft Power Platform with Azure. Relay was previously part of Service Bus but is now its own service. It is the only option that can provide an immediate response after a request is processed. Service Bus and Service Bus Topic cannot respond to a request immediately because their process is asynchronous. Event Hubs is a data streaming platform and ingestion service. It cannot provide an immediate response and therefore does not meet the requirement. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. You design a data model strategy for the company. You include the following Microsoft Dataverse tables with the specified columns. Order table, reference number field, which locks when it contains data. Product name field, which looks up to the products table. Product table, product name, product ID, supplier name fields. You create a custom relationship to ensure that when a row is reassigned to another user, the assignment cascades to all related table rows. You are assigned as the owner of several records in the order table. You discover that the reference number field that contains data is no longer locked. You need to ensure the reference number field is locked if contains data. What should you do? Option 1, deactivate the records in the order table and reactivate them. Option 2, reactivate the business rule in the order table. Option 3, delete the business rule in the order table and create a new one. Option 4, reassign the records assigned to you to the previous owner. Correct answers, reactivate the business rule in the order table. Explanation, this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing table relationship behaviors. To ensure the reference number field remains locked after the reassignment, the business rule needs to be reactivated. The new owner of the records needs to reactivate the business rules. This also applies to workflows. Deactivation and reactivation of the records in the order table will not enable the business rule that locks the reference number field when it contains data. This only reactivates the records. Deleting the business rule and creating a new one will not work because a new business rule will only affect the new data input. It will not affect the existing data. Reassigning your assigned records to the previous owner will not enable the business rule because whenever a company uses Microsoft Power Platform, another system in the company needs to integrate with the Microsoft Power Platform environment to update data in the environment. The system is not aware of the GUIDs of the rows in Microsoft Dataverse that must be updated. You are designing the integration. The integration must minimize the number of requests. You need to select a capability to meet the requirements. Which capability should you select? Option 1, Alternative Keys. Option 2, Azure Service Bus. Option 3, Change Tracking. Option 4, Cloudflow. Correct answers, Alternative Keys. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of integration optimization. Alternative keys can be configured as another unique identifier in the Dataverse table, which enables the system to easily identify the row that needs to be updated. This eliminates the need to first query the entire Dataverse table to confirm the GUID of the row that needs to be updated before performing the update. As a result, it minimizes the number of requests sent by the system and optimizes efficiency. Change tracking can show delta changes in Dataverse data, but it cannot be used to push changes. Azure Service Bus is used to receive events from Dataverse, but it cannot be used to push data to Dataverse. Cloudflows can write to Dataverse, but they would need the row ID to be able to update data. This would result in additional requests to get the ID. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company creates a loan application in Microsoft Dataverse. The company will send the Dataverse records that are posted in the loan application to a third-party service. The Dataverse records will be sent as messages. The third-party service has limited ability to process a high volume of messages at once. You need to ensure that the messages sent from Dataverse are queued so the third-party service can process them faster. What should you use? Option 1, Azure Event Hubs. Option 2, Azure Functions. Option 3, Azure Logic Apps. Option 4, Azure Service Bus. Correct answers, Azure Service Bus. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing third-party integrations. Service Bus provides a message queuing service that is triggered by an event. When data is stored in Dataverse, Service Bus receives this message and adds it to a queue. This is required in this scenario because the third-party service is unable to process a high volume of messages at once. Service Bus sends these messages to the third-party service using the first-in, first-out (FIFO) approach and sends the next message only when it has received a confirmation that the third-party application has successfully processed the last message, which makes the process faster. Logic Apps allows you to design, build, and automate workflows in business processes. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless compute service used to handle a specific task or business logic. Event Hubs is a scalable event streaming platform that can handle high volumes of streaming data. These Azure services do not provide a message queuing feature. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company has several Microsoft Dataverse environments. You are designing the security model. The company needs to define a data loss prevention (DLP) strategy that applies to all departments except the communications department. The communications department requires a solution to enable interaction with third-party applications. You need to recommend how the DLP strategy should be structured to meet the requirement. Which two actions should you recommend to structure the DLP strategy correctly? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, create one DLP policy. Option 2, create one environment. Option 3, create two DLP policies. Option 4, create two environments. Correct answers: create one environment. Create two DLP policies. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of DLP policies. DLP policies help to prevent users from sharing company data intentionally and unintentionally outside a company's approved platforms and applications. For this scenario, one environment needs to be created for the communications department to exclude it from the scope of the general DLP policy. In addition, two DLP policies need to be created. One general DLP policy needs to include all environments, which ensures the policy takes effect on the entire enterprise, including present and future environments. Another policy is required to exclude the environment for the communications department. Two environments are not required for the scenario, and including all environments in one policy means the policy will take effect only on the current environments, not the future ones. This does not meet the requirement for the policy to take effect across the entire enterprise. This also does not exempt the communications department. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company implements Dynamics 365 customer service. The company requires a customer-facing portal. Customers must be able to create cases and access the status of any of their existing cases. You need to recommend the Microsoft Power Platform capability for the portal. Which capability should you recommend? Option 1, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Customer Voice. Option 2, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Field Service. Option 3, Microsoft Power Pages. Option 4, Copilot Agents. Correct answers, Microsoft Power Pages. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of different parts of Microsoft Power Platform. Power Pages provides an external-facing website where customers can log in to interact with the data in Dataverse and manage their cases. Customer Voice is a survey tool and does not have the capabilities of a portal where a customer could log in and manage their cases. Field Service is another Dynamics 365 module. It manages field workers. Field Service does not have an out-of-the-box external-facing portal and does not handle cases. Power Virtual Agents can be embedded on a website, but it is not a whole website itself. It is a chatbot that customers can interact with. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company needs to develop an airport travel request solution to manage travel requests from employees. The managers must approve the travel requests. The solution must store travel requests, airport details, and approvers. You need to propose a data model that meets these requirements. What should you recommend? Option 1, create 3 custom tables. Option 2, create 1 custom table and use 2 standard tables. Option 3, use 3 standard tables. Option 4, use 1 standard table and create 2 custom tables. Correct answers: use 1 standard table and create 2 custom tables. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing tables. Standard tables are a base set of tables in Dataverse that supports common business scenarios. When a standard table is not available to meet your application requirement, a custom table is created. For the airport travel request solution, custom tables are required to store the travel request and airport data. But to access the information of the approvers, the users table should be used because this stores the information of all users in the company. A custom table is not required. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company needs to export data from an Azure SQL database and import it into Microsoft Dataverse. You are designing the data migration strategy. You need to ensure the migration tool you select can perform data transformations and scheduled refreshes. Which tool should you select? Option 1, Import Data Wizard. Option 2, Azure Synapse Analytics. Option 3, Azure Data Lake. Option 4, Microsoft Power Apps Data Flows. Correct answers: Microsoft Power Apps Data Flows. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of data migration strategies. Power Apps Data Flow is a collection of tables created and managed within environments to enable the transformation of data and data refresh schedules between a data source and Dataverse. Power Apps Data Flows can be used to perform data transformation and scheduled refreshes when migrating data from Azure SQL to Dataverse. The Import Data Wizard is focused on the import process. It cannot perform scheduled refreshes when migrating data from Azure SQL to Dataverse. Azure Synapse Analytics is a cloud-based analytics service designed to handle big data and perform analytics at scale. It cannot perform data transformation and scheduled refreshes when migrating data from Azure SQL to Dataverse. Azure Data Lake is a scalable and secure cloud storage. It cannot be used for data transformation and scheduled refreshes when migrating data from Azure SQL to Dataverse. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company plans to digitize its vendor registration process. The requirements for the vendor registration solution have been gathered. You need to identify the non-functional requirement. Which requirement should you choose? Option 1, report generation. Option 2, data validation. Option 3, search and retrieval. Option 4, response time of the application. Correct answers: response time of the application. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of non-functional requirements. Non-functional requirements describe how the solution needs to perform. It captures the requirements that are needed to support and maintain the solution. Quality standards and attributes that a solution must meet are also categorized as non-functional requirements. Some examples of non-functional requirements are response time, data retention, availability, scalability, recovery time, and compliance and regulatory requirements. Functional requirements are features of the solution that are implemented to enable business users to achieve their tasks. These types of requirements describe what the solution needs to do. Report generation, data validation, and search and retrieval are types of functional requirements. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company plans to rebuild an older system. While reviewing the requirements for the project, you discover that several requirements are vague. You need to ensure the requirements are clearly captured. What should you ask the project stakeholders to do? Option 1, review the prototype of the new system. Option 2, complete a survey that has multiple choice questions. Option 3, attend a session to answer open-ended questions. Option 4, attend a session to answer questions that have fixed response options. Correct answers: attend a session to answer open-ended questions. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of refining high-level requirements. During a requirement gathering session with the project stakeholders, it is important to start off with open-ended questions. The responses provide additional context on the requirements, thereby ensuring all requirements are clearly captured. Asking the stakeholders to complete a multiple-choice survey gives them a set of predefined answers they need to select from. It will not give them the opportunity to fully express their requirements. It also will not provide a way to ask additional questions on the answers provided in the survey and will not ensure all requirements are clearly captured. Asking the stakeholders to attend a session where the questions asked will have fixed response options will keep the stakeholders constrained in their answers. This will not help to clarify the vague requirements and will not ensure the requirements for the new solution are clearly captured. Asking the stakeholders to review a prototype of the new system by itself will not provide clarity on the vague requirements and will not ensure the requirements are clearly captured. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company requires a bill tracking app. Each record created in the app must automatically have a reference number in the following format: year, day, or month. 01, the year must be the last two digits of the year, and 01 must increase by increments of 1 for each record. You are designing the table for the bill tracking app. You need to create the reference number column. Which two actions should you perform? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, create a new column with the data type of auto number. Option 2, create a new column with the data type of number. Option 3, select the custom setting. Option 4, select the date prefixed number setting. Option 5, select the calculated behavior type. Correct answers: create a new column with the data type of auto number. Select the custom setting. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing tables and columns. To achieve the format year, month, day-01, you need to create a new column with the data type of auto number. The auto number columns automatically generate alphanumeric strings when they are created. The format in this column can be customized to achieve this format. Additionally, you need to select custom in the auto number type setting. This enables you to create the required format for the reference number field. If a new column is created with the data type of auto number and the date prefixed number setting is selected, this setting can only achieve the reference number in the full year format. Why? It cannot be modified to the last two digits, YY. Creating a new column with the data type of number cannot be used because it allows only numbers, and the reference number format is alphanumeric. The calculated behavior type of the number column can be used to sum or aggregate data. It cannot generate the increments of 1 required in the format of the reference number. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company requires a new website. You need to create dynamic content and web templates for the website. Which component should you use? Option 1, Code Components. Option 2, Java. Option 3, Liquid. Option 4, Portals Web API. Correct answers, Liquid. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of Microsoft Power Platform solution components. Liquid is an open-source template language used to add dynamic content to web pages and to create custom web templates and Power Pages. Portals Web APIs are used to perform create, read, update, and delete operations across all Dataverse tables from web pages. Code components can be created for Power Apps Canvas and model-driven applications. Then, they can be added to a form in Power Pages to enhance the experience of users working with data on forms, views, and dashboards. Java is a server-side language. It is not used to create dynamic content and web templates for a website. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company requires a supplier management application. Suppliers reside in various states in the United States. You need to ensure the data model design meets the following requirements. A list of states where suppliers reside must be available for other applications to reference. Users must be able to update the state list. Users must be able to select only one supplier per state. What should you do? Option 1, create a local choice and a choice column for state in the supplier table. Option 2, create a state table and create a many-to-one, N1, relationship with the supplier table. Option 3, create a state table and create a one-to-many, 1N, relationship with the supplier table. Option 4, create a global choice and a choice column for state in the supplier table. Correct answers: create a state table and create a one-to-many, 1N, relationship with the supplier table. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of tables and relationships. Creating a table for the state column ensures that users have the ability to update the choices in the table as required. Creating a 1N relationship from the state table to the supplier table ensures users can select only one state. Creating an N1 relationship from the state table to the supplier table ensures a supplier can belong to many states, which does not meet the requirement. The choice column is used for a fixed set of choices. The global choice can be used when the fixed set of choices needs to be accessed by other tables. A local choice can be used when the fixed option set needs to be accessed in the table alone. The choice column should not be used in situations where the option set of choices needs to be updated frequently by the users. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company requires an agent management solution. The solution must meet the following requirements. Can manage agents who deliver on-site service at customer locations. Can manage the equipment of customers. You are in the solution planning phase. You need to recommend the appropriate application. Which application should you recommend? Option 1, Dynamics 365 Customer Insights, Data. Option 2, Dynamics 365 Customer Service. Option 3, Dynamics 365 Customer Voice. Option 4, Dynamics 365 Field Service. Correct answers: Dynamics 365 Field Service. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of Dynamics 365 applications. The field service application can manage agents who deliver on-site service to customer locations and manage the equipment of these customers. The customer service application supports customer service agents in resolving customer cases promptly, accurately, and efficiently to drive customer satisfaction remotely. It does not provide features for managing on-site agents or customer equipment. Customer Voice is a feedback application that can easily receive feedback through surveys and track metrics on the feedback received. It does not provide features for managing on-site agents or customer equipment. Dynamics 365 Customer Insights data provides a holistic view of the customer by unifying data from multiple channels and sources to create a single customer profile. It does not provide features for managing on-site agents or customer equipment. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company's sales team attends a conference. After the conference organizers share a list of the attendees in Microsoft Excel. The list contains over 10,000 names. The company wants to save the attendees' information in a custom on-premises customer management system that has no APIs. You need to recommend a solution that meets this requirement. What should you recommend? Option 1, Azure Logic Apps. Option 2, Business Process Flow. Option 3, Cloud Flow. Option 4, Desktop Flow. Correct answers: Desktop Flow. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of Microsoft Power Platform solution components. Desktop flows provide the ability to accurately extract data from an Excel sheet and save the data into a custom on-premises system with no APIs available. Desktop flows expand the robotics process automation in Microsoft Power Automate and can automate repetitive desktop processes. Cloud flows are triggered either manually, automatically, or through a schedule. Business process flows define a set of steps for users to follow to get to an outcome. These flows cannot extract information from an Excel sheet into a custom on-premises system with no APIs available. Logic apps can create and run automated workflows. They cannot integrate with a custom on-premises system with no APIs available. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The finance department uses a third-party ERP solution that is a standalone application and is not based on Microsoft Power Platform. You are designing an integration between the two systems. The company requires that the integration approach follows Microsoft's recommendations. You need to recommend the approach the integration should use to authenticate against Microsoft Dataverse. Which approach should you recommend? Option 1, Named User Account. Option 2, Non-Interactive User. Option 3, Service Account. Option 4, Service Principal. Correct answers: Service Principal. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of connecting to Dataverse and designing a third-party integration. For the integration described in the scenario, Microsoft's recommendation is to use Service Principal to authenticate against Dataverse, preferably using a managed identity. A named user account could be inactivated when the user leaves the company or a password changes. Both occurrences would stop the integration from working. A service account must be registered as a non-interactive user in Dataverse. It is only possible to create 7 of these in one environment, and with an integration, this number could be exceeded quickly. A non-interactive user is not recommended over Service Principal. There is a limited number of non-interactive users you can create per environment. In addition, Service Principal is more secure and easier to manage from an administrative perspective. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The sales team requires an app to track the monthly sales of their product. You are designing the data visualization strategy for the app. The sales team shares the following data report requirements. The team must be able to ask questions and get answers in visual format in the report. The report must show the locations of the team's customers on a map. You need to ensure the data report meets these requirements. What should you do? Option 1, create the report with charts in a model-driven app. Option 2, create the report with views in a model-driven app. Option 3, create the report by using Microsoft Power BI in a model-driven app. Option 4, create the report by using the report wizard in a model-driven app. Correct answers: create the report by using Microsoft Power BI in a model-driven app. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of a data visualization strategy. Power BI includes the map visual, which will display the locations of the sales team's customers on a map. Power BI also includes the Q&A feature, which can be used to ask questions about data and receive answers in visual format in a report. The charts and report wizard available in a model-driven app do not have these features. Views are stored queries in a table. They are not used for creating reports with visuals. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. You are designing the integration of data between a Microsoft SQL Server database and Microsoft Dataverse. Data from the invoice table in the SQL Server database must be migrated to the customer invoice table in Dataverse. The data from the SQL Server database has the most recent version with new records. You need to ensure that after migration there are no duplicate or missing records and all existing records are up to date. Which data operation should you use in the Microsoft Power Automate Cloud flow you create? Option 1, Aggregate. Option 2, Create. Option 3, Update. Option 4, Upsert. Correct answers, Upsert. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing integration with an organization's existing system. The Upsert data operation reduces the complexity involved in data integrations. This data operation checks if the record already exists in the customer invoice table in Dataverse. If the record exists, it updates the record. If it does not exist, it creates the record, thereby ensuring that there are no duplicate or missing records and that all existing records are up to date. The update data operation is used to modify the existing records in the customer invoice table in Dataverse. However, it will not create new records, thereby leading to missing records. The create data operation involves adding new records to the customer invoice table in Dataverse, which will lead to duplicate records for the records that already exist. Also, this operation will not update the existing records, thereby leading to records that are duplicated and not up to date. The aggregate operation is used to calculate aggregated values from a dataset. It involves applying functions such as sum, average, count, maximum, and minimum. It does not ensure that there are no duplicate records or missing records and that all existing records are up to date in the customer invoice table in Dataverse. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. You are designing the security model. The company is concerned about potential data leakage to social media platforms through Microsoft Power Platform. You need to ensure company data cannot be leaked through Microsoft Power Platform. What should you implement? Option 1, Cross-tenant isolation. Option 2, Data loss prevention, DLP. Option 3, Environment security role. Option 4, Security role. Correct answers: data loss prevention, DLP. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of data loss prevention, DLP. DLP policies help prevent users from intentionally or unintentionally exposing data. DLP can be used to prevent the leakage of company data through Microsoft Power Platform to social media platforms. Security roles are used to define privileges in Dataverse tables. Environment security roles determine the privileges granted in an environment. Cross-tenant isolation determines if apps and data can be shared between tenants for business-to-business, B2B, scenarios. None of these can be used to prevent data leakage from Microsoft Power Platform. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. You are designing the security model. The security model must meet the following requirements. Microsoft Power apps must be accessible only from company devices. An authorization code must be required when a Power Apps app is accessed from a location outside the employee's country/region of residence. You need to ensure the security requirements are met. What should you configure? Option 1, Microsoft Entra ID B2B. Option 2, Microsoft Entra ID B2C. Option 3, Conditional Access. Option 4, Single Sign-On, SSO. Correct answers: Conditional Access. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of security model management policies and processes. Conditional access can restrict access to Power Apps from the company devices only and ensure an authorization code is required when it is accessed outside of the country/region of residence. SSO enables access to apps without having to sign in separately. Microsoft Entra ID B2B enables a secure way for businesses to collaborate and share their data. Microsoft Entra ID B2C controls how customers sign in using preferred enterprise, social, or local identities. None of them restrict the access to Power Apps based on a user's location or device being used. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. You are working with the company on the development of an operator's portal. The functional and non-functional business requirements have been gathered and shared. The project manager informs you that due to an insufficient budget, the developers of the portal are not able to complete the project by the expected delivery date. You need to recommend a solution to move the project forward. What should you recommend? Option 1. Implement the functional requirements and leave out the non-functional requirements. Option 2. Schedule another requirement gathering session with the business users to request the removal of some requirements from the project scope. Option 3. Prioritize a minimum viable product, MVP, and put the remaining requirements into future sprints. Option 4. Ask the developers to implement the requirements within the expected delivery time. Correct answers: prioritize a minimum viable product, MVP, and put the remaining requirements into future sprints. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of refining high-level requirements. When a project has constraints on budget, resources, or time, prioritizing the requirements is a way to quickly meet the business requirements within these constraints. The prioritized requirements will form the MVP, and the other requirements can be included in the backlog for the next sprint. Business users should not be asked to remove their requirements because this will make the solution incomplete and not fit for use. Developers must always develop to best practices and not rush the project and deliver an unstable solution due to time or budget constraints. For every solution, it is important to implement both the functional and non-functional requirements. A company uses Microsoft Power Platform. You are working with the company to create a solution that synchronizes data from Microsoft Dataverse to a third-party application. Developers develop a custom plugin in a model-driven app to synchronize the data with the application. Business users report a failure in the data synchronization, which results in a conflict in the data available in Dataverse and the third-party application. You need to ensure the data synchronizes successfully. What should you use to find the root cause of the synchronization issue? Option 1. Dataverse auditing. Option 2. Microsoft Power Apps activity logging. Option 3. Trace logging. Option 4. Workflow log. Correct answers: trace logging. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of resolving integration conflicts. Trace logging assists in the diagnosis of the root cause of a plugin failure. It is used for troubleshooting, debugging, and monitoring. It is a setting available from Power Apps Advanced Settings. Power Apps activity logging records activities that are performed on Power Apps such as app creation, publishing, and launch. This is for security and compliance reasons, and it logs activities to the Microsoft Purview Compliance Center. Dataverse auditing logs changes that are made to tables in an environment in Dataverse. It cannot be used to find the root cause of a plugin failure. Workflow log is used to track and record the execution details of workflows. It cannot be used to find the root cause of a plugin failure. A logistics company is going live with a Microsoft Power Apps app for managing inventory and order fulfillment. The project team is going to conduct a test to validate the app during a disruptive incident. The team will test how quickly the app can be restored. You need to make a record of the test procedure. Where should you include the procedure after you capture it? Option 1. Data migration plan. Option 2. Disaster recovery plan. Option 3. Risk assessment document. Option 4. User training. Correct answers: disaster recovery plan. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the testing options available for go-live readiness and documentation of the disaster recovery plan. The project team is performing a disaster recovery test, and the procedure will form part of the disaster recovery plan. This is the correct way to document and structure the recovery and restoration of critical systems, applications, and data in the event of a major disaster or disruptive incident. A risk assessment document analyzes the likelihood of an event occurring and the potential risks and threats it could have on an organization's operations. The risk assessment does not include any approach for the recovery and restoration of critical systems and applications. The data migration document captures the process of transferring data from one system to another, including the sources, data mapping, and reference material for future migrations and data-related activities. User training is the documented process on how users will use the application and how to ensure its successful adoption within an organization. A pharmaceutical customer with multiple lines of business globally is evaluating Microsoft Power Platform for their business. The customer is experiencing data quality issues. You are performing a discovery and assessing the potential risks of moving the customer's data to the cloud. Which two questions should you ask the customer about the data? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, where should your data reside? Option 2, what data overlaps are there between lines of business? Option 3, are there apps or systems you must keep? Option 4, how many orders did you ship last year? Option 5, which user will be performing the deduplication of your data? Correct answers, where should your data reside? What data overlaps are there between lines of business? Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the discovery process when it comes to data management and being able to assess a client's data requirements and risks. Understanding a client's data residency requirements is important because it will have a significant effect on the deployment of the solution. Given that the pharmaceutical company in the scenario is globally distributed, it is important to understand where the company wants to store its data. This is important for a solution architect to know so they can plan for the physical or geographic location of the company's data. It is also important to understand the data quality issues the company is experiencing. A solution architect will also want to learn what common data exists across the company, what might be duplicate data, and what might be sensitive data that needs to be kept private between business units. Identifying apps and systems to keep is not important in the context of the data and data quality issues the company is facing. Understanding the number of orders shipped last year is a single data point that does not provide an understanding of the overall data volumes or data quality issues. Identifying the user who will perform the deduplication of data is a project activity and is irrelevant at this stage of the discovery. A retail company uses Microsoft Power Platform. The company has an inventory management app that was created as a model-driven app and an online store that was built as a custom app. The company uses a third-party shipping provider. You are creating a workflow to automate the order fulfillment process as follows. When an order is placed in the online store, the inventory app must be updated accordingly. The third-party shipping provider must be notified of the order along with the details through API calls. You need to ensure the run history of the workflow is retained for 90 days and the workflow is associated to a resource group. What should you use to create the automation? Option 1, Microsoft Azure Event Hubs. Option 2, Microsoft Azure Logic Apps. Option 3, Microsoft Power Automate Cloud Flow. Option 4, Microsoft Power Automate Desktop Flow. Correct answers, Microsoft Azure Logic Apps. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying opportunities to integrate and extend Microsoft Power Platform solutions by using Azure. Logic Apps is used to automate complex business processes. The scenario is complex because there are multiple integration points. With Logic Apps, the run history of flows can be retained for 90 days, and the Logic App can be associated to a resource group. Power Automate Cloud Flows are used to automate business processes. They should be used for non-complex business processes. In addition, the workflow run history is retained for 30 days, not 90 days, and cloud flows can be associated to solutions, not resource groups. Power Automate Desktop Flows are used to automate business processes with older on-premises systems that have no API available. APIs are available in the integration from the scenario. Event Hubs is a scalable event streaming platform that can handle high volumes of streaming data. It does not provide business process automation features. A retailer undergoing digital transformation is deploying Microsoft Power Apps for its customer service agents. During the discovery process, you learn that new Power apps must connect to an existing application that the retailer is going to keep. You need to determine how to connect to the application. Which two questions should you ask about connecting to the application? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, does the application have an API? Option 2, does the application contain historical data? Option 3, does the application have data quality issues? Option 4, does the application have an available connector? Option 5, does the application have a database backup running? Correct answers, does the application have an API? Does the application have an available connector? Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the discovery process when dealing with an organization's existing applications and data and how those applications might connect with Microsoft Power Platform. It is important for a solution architect to know whether a customer has a connector available for an existing application or whether Microsoft has a publicly available pre-built connector. Using a connector's pre-built actions and triggers will save the solution architect time and complexity when building and connecting from the Power Apps app. If a connector is not available, an API is the next best option. Having an API provides an interface for a custom connector to communicate with the application. Without an API, a solution architect might need to consider other technology. Knowing whether the existing application has historical data does not help a solution architect understand how to connect to the application. Similarly, knowing whether the application is facing data integrity issues does not help a solution architect understand how to connect to the application. Understanding whether the existing application has a database backup and restoration strategy is irrelevant for a solution architect because it does not relate to how to connect Power Apps to the application. You are assisting a customer with implementing a security model in Microsoft Dataverse. The customer has the following requirements. A non-interactive service account must be created for a server-to-server (S2S) application that will connect to Dataverse. Users must be assigned the minimum privileges and not require a license. The customer does not maintain any physical server infrastructure. You need to create a user account that meets the requirements. What should you create first? Option 1, an Active Directory account. Option 2, an app registration. Option 3, an application user. Option 4, a Microsoft 365 user. Correct answers: an app registration. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying appropriate usage cases for app registrations. For the scenario, an application user is required. To create an application user, the first step is that an applicable app registration must exist on the tenant. Creating the actual application user is the second step, and it is not possible to do if an app registration does not exist already. An application user is typically ideal for S2S scenarios to provide secure and straightforward communication between Dataverse and any custom applications. Traditionally, creating a Microsoft 365 user account and then converting it to a non-interactive user account would be the preferred technical scenario. However, given the reliance on providing the user with a software license, this option does not meet the requirements. An Active Directory account would not be possible to create or use in the scenario because the company does not have an on-premises Active Directory environment. You are conducting a discovery call with a new customer and several stakeholders. The customer is a privately owned business. During the call, the customer uses industry-specific terms with which you are unfamiliar. You need to understand the terms. Which two actions should you perform? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, ask for clarification on the terms. Option 2, document the terms in a data dictionary. Option 3, research the terms using a search engine. Option 4, research the terms in a recently posted financial statement. Correct answers: ask for clarification on the terms. Document the terms in a data dictionary. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of conducting a discovery meeting to solicit requirements and what to do when the customer uses industry vocabulary in terms that are not well understood. It is important to document any customer-specific industry terms to keep a record of the vocabulary being used. A data definition document, data dictionary, can be used for this purpose and will also help the project team understand a customer's data definitions. It is important to seek clarity from the customer on any terminology and vocabulary being used that is not understood, or you risk making incorrect assumptions. A solution architect should learn as many high-level details about the customer and their business as possible during discovery. Reviewing the financial statements from a publicly traded company's earnings report will not provide clarity on business-specific industry terms. In addition, the customer is a privately held organization and is not required to post their financials publicly. Using a search engine to learn what a term might mean can yield good results, but there is a risk that the results are wrong. You still will need to validate the terminology and vocabulary with the customer to ensure it matches their definitions. You are conducting a discovery with a retailer who wants to digitally transform using Microsoft Power Platform. You need to understand the retailer's current business processes to make recommendations. Which 2 actions should you take to learn about the retailer's processes? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, job shadow employees. Option 2, ask about pain points in the current processes. Option 3, demonstrate your solution. Option 4, start a proof of concept. Option 5, deliver a high-level architecture assessment. Correct answers, job shadow employees. Ask about pain points in the current processes. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the discovery process, during which a solution architect learns about an organization's existing processes, pain points, and requirements. Job shadowing is a good way to interact with different users and departments and see how they are currently working. This will allow a solution architect to extract information and understand the existing processes. Another good way to learn is to ask the customer directly about the processes they have in place and pain points they are experiencing. This process will help a solution architect extract information on how the proposed solution can streamline those business processes. Demonstrating the solution is performed after the discovery and capture of the requirements. A demonstration is used to validate the requirements with stakeholders and to help build confidence in the platform. A proof of concept is for when the customer needs to see the concept work in the context of the proposed solution. This occurs after the discovery is completed as part of pre-sales or solution design once the requirements are being validated. A high-level architecture assessment is a design phase deliverable that typically happens as part of a project long after discovery is complete. You are conducting initial project discovery for a customer who is implementing Microsoft Power Platform. You identify potential risks for the project that could affect the overall timelines and deliverables. You need to document these risks. Which type of document should you use? Option 1, an architecture diagram. Option 2, a data retention schedule. Option 3, an entity relationship diagram, ERD. Option 4, a project plan summary. Correct answers, a project plan summary. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of correctly identifying and documenting risk factors that may affect the success of a project. A project plan summary is an effective way to summarize several key aspects of the solution, including overall objectives, deliverables, timelines, and any risks that may have been identified as part of initial discovery. It is vital that risks are documented early so potential mitigation actions can be considered and any unexpected outcomes can be prevented as the project gets underway. Documenting risks within an architecture diagram is not appropriate because this type of document is not typically concerned with lower-level detail points. Instead, an architecture diagram should be used to demonstrate the key components within the architecture, to show how each component fits together, and to clearly indicate which Microsoft Power Platform and non-Microsoft Power Platform components need to be used. Using a data retention schedule to document risks is also inappropriate because this document is instead concerned with identifying the key information categories within the solution and how these categories need to be maintained appropriately across the life cycle of the solution. Retention of data for the minimum period necessary is important for many organizations globally, particularly for ones working within regulated industries or certain legal jurisdictions. An ERD is most appropriately used to provide visual indication of the data model of the solution. It can also provide a good blueprint of what will be built using Dataverse or any other data source as part of the solution. Documenting low-level details regarding risks in this document is not appropriate because this document type is primarily visual rather than text-based. You are conducting performance testing on a new Microsoft Power Apps app for a client. The app is hosted in the United States. Several business users are in the United Kingdom. One user in the United Kingdom notes that even during off-peak times, the app runs very slowly. You need to diagnose the app performance issue. Which 2 factors should you identify as the cause of the issue? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, Microsoft Dataverse log capacity. Option 2, network bandwidth. Option 3, network congestion. Option 4, network latency. Option 5, service level agreement, SLA. Correct answers, network bandwidth and network latency. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying and resolving performance issues when it comes to going live with a Microsoft Power Platform solution. In the scenario, network latency is an issue because the physical distance between the source app and destination server is playing a significant role. With the user being based in the United Kingdom and the application being hosted in the United States, a time delay is very likely occurring when data travels from one point in the network to another. Network bandwidth is also contributing because insufficient bandwidth can lead to slow data transfer speeds, resulting in longer wait times for the United Kingdom user when interacting with the Power Apps app. Dataverse Log Capacity manages audit data. Dataverse Log Storage does not consume storage capacity and therefore will not affect the performance of Power Apps. However, when Dataverse itself, where business data is stored, reaches its capacity limits, it can negatively affect system performance. Network congestion issues arise when multiple users are accessing the application simultaneously or when the network infrastructure is overloaded. This can lead to increased latency and reduced available bandwidth. In the scenario, however, the user reports that the issue is occurring even during off-peak hours, when there is not high network usage. SLAs are implemented to describe the contractual agreement in place with Microsoft to ensure performance standards and compliance. The SLA itself would not be a cause of the app performance issues for the user in the United Kingdom. You are creating a Canvas app where employees can submit their expense reports to Microsoft Dataverse. When a report is submitted, it must be automatically routed to the employee's manager via email. The manager will review the expense details, provide comments, and either approve or reject the expense report. You need to add automation to the app to route the expense reports to managers. What should you do? Option 1, create a new flow and use the send approval and follow-up via email template. Option 2, create an approval pre-validation plugin that notifies a manager that an expense report has been saved to Dataverse. Option 3, create a business rule on the expense report table that displays a manager approval checkbox. Option 4, create a new flow and use the click a button in Power Apps to send an email template. Correct answers: create a new flow and use the send approval and follow-up via email template. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing and implementing a collaborative integration by using Power Apps and Power Automate. Adding a flow using the Power Automate pane within Power Apps Studio triggers automation within a Canvas app. The send approval and follow-up via email template allows you to send a request for approval when a Canvas app button is selected. In the scenario, the manager is the approver and can view approval requests in the Approvals Center and in email. When the manager responds, an approval or rejection email will be sent to a recipient as a follow-up. Using a pre-validation plugin operation will not meet the requirements because the logic runs before the database transaction occurs and the expense is saved to Dataverse. This type of plugin is typically used to validate logic that might cancel the operation before the database transaction. Using a business rule to show and hide an approval checkbox does not meet the requirements of routing an approval to the employee's manager by email. Business rules provide a simple way to implement and maintain fast-changing and commonly used rules. Using the Power Automate template, click a button in Power Apps to send an email does not meet the stated approval requirements for providing comments and approving or rejecting the request. You are designing a Dynamics 365 implementation. Global admins must be able to give new employees their required security roles in Dynamics 365. You need to set the security approach for the project. You must use the minimal amount of configuration. What should you do? Option 1, set up Microsoft Entra ID group teams. Option 2, add the security roles manually. Option 3, create a Microsoft Power Automate flow to assign roles. Option 4, create an Azure function to assign roles. Correct answers: set up Microsoft Entra ID group teams. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of different possibilities for assigning security roles to new employees. To make it as easy as possible for global admins, you should set up teams related to Microsoft Entra ID security groups and assign the correct security roles to those teams. Whenever a user is added to one of those teams in Microsoft Entra ID, they will be added to the team in Dynamics 365. All permissions from the security roles will be granted to the user. Assigning roles through Microsoft Power Automate or Azure Functions is not recommended because out-of-the-box functionality exists, and the scenario specifies that you must use the minimal amount of configuration. Adding security roles manually is not recommended and would add significant work for the global admins. You are designing a Dynamics 365 implementation. Managers must be able to edit their subordinates' rows wherever the subordinates are located on the business unit hierarchy. You need to select the appropriate Dynamics 365 capability. Which capability should you implement? Option 1, Business Units. Option 2, Column-Level Security. Option 3, Hierarchical Security. Option 4, Security Role. Correct answers: Hierarchical Security. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of different security capabilities in Dynamics 365. Hierarchical security can be used to create a security model across business units. The direct manager of a user can always edit the user's rows, whether or not the manager and user are in the same business unit structure. Business units are also used to separate data but do have a strict hierarchy. Managers can view their subordinates' data only when the manager and subordinates are in the same business unit or when the manager is in a higher business unit. Security roles are used to set permissions at a per-table level. They cannot be used to implement the requirement in this scenario. Column-level security can be used to give a group of people access to a certain column on a table but not to the whole table. You are designing a Microsoft Power Apps app for an airline company to monitor the company's social media platforms. The app will collect real-time social media analytics from a third party by using a custom connector. Employees must be logged into the app to be able to interact with the data. Testing of the app indicates that employees will exceed the number of API requests they are allowed to make per day. You need to determine which Microsoft Power Platform limit will be exceeded. Which limit should you identify? Option 1, Concurrent requests. Option 2, Entitlement. Option 3, Non-licensed user request. Option 4, Service Protection API. Correct answers: Entitlement. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the Microsoft Power Platform and API limits that exist and their purposes. The use of entitlement limits represents the number of API requests that an employee is entitled to make each day. API entitlement limits are based on a 24-hour period, which in the scenario will be exceeded in a day. The allocated limit depends on the type of license that is assigned to each employee. In the scenario, employees have a Power Apps license. Non-licensed user request limits are established for certain activities such as background processes that do not require a user to interact with the service. In the scenario, licensed Power Apps employees are working with the app and therefore, the non-interactive limits will not apply. Service Protection API limits are set to ensure consistent availability and performance of services for everyone. These limits are only evaluated when making extraordinary API demands within a 5-minute sliding window. Concurrency is the sending of multiple requests from the same employee simultaneously and is limited to 52 concurrent requests. There is no indication that the app is using concurrency or sending concurrent API requests. You are designing a Microsoft Power Apps solution for a heavy equipment company to manage its fleet of vehicles. The IT director asks you to use a common fleet management schema in Microsoft Dataverse to expedite the data model creation. You need to identify the appropriate data modeling approach. What should you use? Option 1, Automotive Accelerator. Option 2, Default Solution. Option 3, Default Common Data Model. Option 4, Logical Data Model. Correct answers: Automotive Accelerator. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the data modeling options and standards available in Microsoft Power Platform to support a complex set of requirements. The Automotive Accelerator includes an industry-standard automotive data model that can easily be enabled within Microsoft Power Platform. The Automotive Accelerator expedites the data model creation by installing industry-specific tables and attributes that dealerships and original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, commonly leverage. These entities include deals, sales contracts, specifications, fleet, and vehicles. Using the out-of-the-box common data model only provides a common language for business entities that cover a full range of business processes. It does not include an industry-specific automotive objects out of the box. It would need to be extended and customized to support the requirements. The default solution is a special solution that contains all components in Dataverse. The default solution is useful for discovering all the components and configurations in your system, but it has no relevance to designing or expediting the creation of the fleet management schema. Using a logical data model is a way to show how data flows through the system before getting to the physical implementation. A logical data model does not provide a common fleet management schema or expedite its creation in Dataverse. You are designing a Microsoft Power Platform implementation for a company. The company works with one of your partners. You need to ensure the implementation meets the following requirements. The partner's users must be able to connect from their tenant to the company's tenant. Users in the company must not be able to connect to the partner's tenant. Which part of Microsoft Power Platform should you configure? Option 1, Cross-Tenant Access, Restriction Outbound. Option 2, Cross-Tenant Access, Restriction Inbound. Option 3, Microsoft Entra ID B2C. Option 4, Environment Security Group. Correct answers: Cross-Tenant Access, Restriction Outbound. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of cross-tenant security. Cross-tenant access makes it possible for external users to connect to your tenant. When outbound is restricted, your users cannot access the other tenant, but users from the other tenant can access your tenant. When inbound is restricted, it is reversed: your users can access the other tenant, but users from the other tenant cannot access your tenant. Microsoft Entra ID B2C does not meet the requirements because Microsoft Entra ID B2C is a business-to-customer relationship and the scenario is about two businesses. Environment security groups can restrict access to certain environments within your tenant. They are not capable of allowing users from other tenants to access yours. You are designing a Microsoft Power Platform implementation. The solution design uses Azure Functions for integrations. The Azure function requires a user to authenticate the Azure function against the Microsoft Power Platform environment. You estimate the integration will have about 20,000 requests per day. You need to determine which license to use to meet the integration requirements. Which license should you select? Option 1, Power Apps Pay-as-you-go. Option 2, Power Apps per user. Option 3, Power Apps Portals. Option 4, Power Automate per flow. Correct answers: Power Apps per user. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of API request limits. The Power Apps per user license includes 40,000 requests per user. This license can also be assigned to a user that the Azure function will use for authentication. The Power Apps Portals license includes only 200 requests and only allows users access to a Power Apps portal. The Power Apps Pay-as-you-go license includes only 6,000 requests per user in day. In general, users can be licensed by Pay-as-you-go, but the included number of requests would not be sufficient for this scenario's integration. The Power Automate per flow plan includes 250,000 requests, which is much more than the expected number of requests in the scenario. In addition, the plan must be assigned to a flow and cannot be assigned to a user. You are designing an app for an internet provider. Workers for the provider go to people's residences to sign up prospects for internet packages. You have the following Microsoft Dataverse tables. Prospect, custom table used to enter a prospect's contact information. A prospect will have many associated notifications. Notification, custom table with internal notifications about the prospect. Workers can create and delete notifications. You need to ensure prospects cannot be accidentally deleted when notifications are present. Which relationship behavior should you use? Option 1, Custom, Cascade All Delete. Option 2, Parental. Option 3, Referential, Remove Link. Option 4, Referential, Restrict Delete. Correct answers: Referential, Restrict Delete. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the different relationship behaviors that exist in Dataverse and how they can be applied to restrict and prevent the deletion of data. Using the one-to-many referential behavior type with restrict delete prevents the prospect from being deleted when related notification rows still exist. In this case, the prospect record can be deleted only when all the child notifications have been cleaned up and removed. Using the referential behavior type with remove link only severs the relationship between a prospect and notification. In the scenario, all notifications need to be deleted prior to deleting the prospect, so this behavior will not apply. Parental relationship behavior is the least restrictive and will delete the parent record, the prospect, and related child table records, the notifications, at the same time regardless of whether the notifications have been removed. Using a custom relationship behavior with Cascade All Delete will perform the delete action on all related notifications regardless of whether they have been removed. You are designing an environment strategy for a logistics company. You plan to include out-of-the-box governance capabilities. You begin to create the environment for the distribution team that must include the following requirements. Canvas apps that are built must only be shared with a maximum of 2 users. The IT administrator must receive a weekly email with a list of active app users. You need to ensure the distribution team's environment meets the governance requirements. What should you do? Option 1, set the environment refresh cadence. Option 2, use an environment security group. Option 3, use the environment's administration mode. Option 4, make the environment managed. Correct answers: make the environment managed. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing an environment strategy for an organization and identifying the different environment capabilities available to support governance best practices. A managed environment offers out-of-the-box governance capabilities that simplify, automate, and streamline IT administration of Microsoft Power Platform. This includes out-of-the-box capabilities like sending the administrator a weekly usage insights email and limiting how widely Canvas apps can be shared. Setting the environment's refresh cadence is used to set how often you want to receive updates from Microsoft for features and certain Power Platform services. Assigning a security group to an environment is a helpful way to restrict access to the people in that security group. However, that alone will not meet the requirements in the scenario. Administration mode is used when you want to make operational changes to an environment and ensure regular users cannot log in and affect your work. You are designing an integration between 2 apps for onboarding new employees. Employee data will be entered into a model-driven app. The data must then be automatically written to a human resources application without user interaction. The application has no API or connector and will be installed on users' computers. You need to integrate the employee data into the human resources application. Which integration solution should you use? Option 1, Attended Desktop Flow. Option 2, Azure Logic Apps. Option 3, Cloud Flow. Option 4, Unattended Desktop Flow. Correct answers: Unattended Desktop Flow. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing an integration solution and of the integration technology available in Microsoft Power Platform. An unattended Power Automate desktop flow using robotic process automation (RPA) meets the requirements because the desktop flow can connect and integrate into an application where no connector or API is available. In the scenario, the human resources application has no API, is a desktop-installed application, and does not require user interaction, which means that using an unattended desktop flow is the best option. Logic apps are designed to interact with cloud-based services, connectors, and APIs. In the scenario, the human resources desktop application does not have an API or connector available, which means logic apps cannot be used. Also, logic apps cannot connect to an unattended desktop flow. Only Power Automate Cloud Flows can. Power Automate Cloud Flows alone cannot connect to the human resources application without a cloud-based service, connector, desktop flow, or API. The cloud flow would need to first connect to an unattended desktop flow to write to the human resources application. Attended flows are initiated on demand and allow a user to interact with a desktop flow if necessary, such as when a decision is required. In the scenario, it is stated that data will be written automatically to the human resources application without any user interaction, which is using unattended mode. You are designing an integration for a credit union that is implementing Microsoft Power Apps. A client of the credit union has banking transaction data that changes rapidly and is kept in a core banking system. The data must be stored only in the United States. The credit union requires the Power Apps integration to the core banking system be in real time. You need to choose the appropriate categorizations for the integration. Which 3 integration categorizations should you use? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, batch. Option 2, licensed. Option 3, regulated. Option 4, time sensitive. Option 5, volatility. Correct answers: regulated, time sensitive, volatility. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing integrations using an organization's existing systems and how the solution architect would classify the different data sources they encounter. In the scenario, the core banking data is described as rapidly changing, and therefore, it should be classified with high volatility. It is also mentioned that the data should only be stored in the United States, which is a common requirement for regulated financial institutions. Lastly, integration timing is important because the banking transaction data is time-sensitive and must be available in Power Apps in real time. Licensed data classification is not appropriate for this scenario because there is no indication that the data is licensed or that there are any limitations that might affect the use of data. There is also no indication in the scenario of how large the volume of data is or if it is significant enough to classify the volume. The scenario indicates that the data needs to be available in Power Apps in real time, and therefore, there is no requirement for batch classification. You are designing the Application Lifecycle Management (ALM) process for a Microsoft Power Platform solution. Developers are customizing Microsoft Dataverse tables and the common data model. All changes to the data must be tracked for every object. You need to ensure that the data is tracked. Which 2 actions should you instruct the developers to perform? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, include all components. Option 2, include entity metadata. Option 3, add table subcomponents. Option 4, publish all customizations. Correct answers: include entity metadata. Add table subcomponents. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing ALM processes. The requirement to track changes to the data indicates that table-level auditing is required for every table. To ensure this setting is transferred accordingly to downstream environments, the entity metadata for each table used in the common data model should be included. If it is not included, then the setting will not be detected and transferred. Solution segmentation ensures only the required components that have been built or modified are ultimately deployed into downstream environments. Because every Dataverse environment contains the data structures for the common data model, adding these components fully to a solution is unnecessary and could cause future issues, such as unwanted changes being deployed or dependency issues occurring. Therefore, only the table subcomponents should be included in the solution. Publishing all customizations is a common task that needs to be done after performing modifications in Dataverse, and it ensures all changes are made visible to users. Publishing customizations will have no effect on ensuring auditing can be enabled and factored in as part of the ALM process. You are designing the data model for a Microsoft Dataverse solution. You need to identify the tables that form part of the common data model. Which 3 tables should you identify? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, account. Option 2, business. Option 3, grant. Option 4, marketing list. Option 5, program. Correct answers: account, marketing list, task. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of working with the common data model and identifying the key tables that it is made of. The marketing list table provides basic functionality for collating and distributing marketing content to a list of customers. It is part of the common data model and is available by default within every newly created Dataverse environment. The task table allows users to record key activities with due dates against other rows within Dataverse. It is part of the common data model and is available by default within every newly created Dataverse environment. The account table allows users to represent other companies, often as customers or in business-to-business (B2B) scenarios. It is part of the common data model and is available by default within every newly created Dataverse environment. The business table is a custom table provided by the Automotive Accelerator. The grant table is a custom table provided by the Education Accelerator. The program table is a custom table provided by the Government Accelerator. These tables are not available by default within newly created Dataverse environments and, therefore, do not form part of the common data model. You are designing the data model for an inspection management app. The app will reference a defined list of inspection locations in Microsoft Dataverse and contain the latitude and longitude values. When users use the app, they must select a location. You need to identify the column data type for the location value. Which data type should you use? Option 1, Choice. Option 2, Choices. Option 3, Decimal number. Option 4, Lookup. Option 5, Text. Correct answers, Lookup. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the various Dataverse column types that are available and the design implications of looking up related data. Using a lookup value meets the scenario's requirements by allowing the location value and latitude and longitude values to be stored on the same row in a lookup table. Lookups can also be filtered by views and security roles, while localization can be performed on the location values using translation labels. A decimal number column can store only numeric values, which does not meet the stated requirements. A choice column provides an exact list of location values that users can choose from, but the requirements state the latitude and longitude must also be captured. Similarly, a choices column provides a multi-select pick list column where you can specify multiple values that will be available for users to select. The requirement states a single location must be selected, and a choices column also does not allow for the latitude and longitude coordinates to be stored. Text fields allow for free-form data entry, which could introduce locations outside the defined list. Text fields also will not accommodate the location's latitude and longitude values. You are designing the environment structure for a company's Microsoft Power Platform project. To optimize latency and user experience, you decide on the following: 1 development environment, 2 production environments, 1 in Europe and 1 in North America. You need to ensure it is always possible to deploy from the development environment to the downstream environments. Which region should you host the development environment in? Option 1, Canada. Option 2, Europe. Option 3, Japan. Option 4, North America. Correct answers, North America. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of geolocation considerations in Microsoft Power Platform. A deployment into an environment with a newer version is always possible. A deployment into an environment with an older version as the source environment is unreliable and could lead to import errors. Therefore, your development environment should be in the North America region, which is Stage 5 of the Microsoft release train, to make sure the development environment always has an older or the same version as all downstream environments. Europe is Stage 4 of the Microsoft release train. If the development environment was in Europe, it might cause issues when deploying to the test or production environments, which are hosted in the North America region, because the target environment version is older than the one in the source environment. It is the same situation for Canada and Japan because both are earlier stages in the release train. Canada is Stage 2 and Japan is Stage 3. You are designing the security model for a Microsoft Dataverse solution for a global company. The model must meet the following requirements. All users must be able to access the same Dataverse environment. Data access requirements must be structured based on country/region and then department. Data must be accessed only by standard users within their specific department. Senior users must have the ability to access data across multiple departments and at the country/region level. You need to recommend which platform feature to use. What should you recommend? Option 1, Access Teams. Option 2, Business Units. Option 3, Owner Teams. Option 4, Security Roles. Correct answers, Business Units. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing an appropriate business unit structure. Business units provide a logical grouping of users and records within a Dataverse environment. With this structure, standard users in specific countries/regions can be prevented from accessing data in another country/region. The structure also ensures the senior users can access data hierarchically within the regional business unit. Security roles control the discrete privileges assigned to users within a Dataverse environment. Using these roles will not ensure the hierarchical access requirements can be met. Access teams specify the set of privileges that can be granted to a specific group of users on a per-record basis. Using access teams will not ensure the hierarchical access requirements can be met. Owner teams can be used to assign specific records in the system to multiple users at the same time. Using owner teams will not ensure the hierarchical access requirements can be met. You are finalizing the role concept for a Microsoft Power Platform project for a company. Members of the IT staff must be able to manage all environments on the tenant. This includes the ability to take backups and create new environments as needed. Corporate policy dictates that all environments must be linked to a security group. You need to recommend the appropriate role for the IT staff using the principle of least privilege. Which role should you assign? Option 1, Global Admin. Option 2, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Admin. Option 3, Microsoft Power Platform Admin. Option 4, System Administrator role in all environments. Correct answers: Microsoft Power Platform Admin. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of roles and admin accounts. The Microsoft Power Platform Admin role gives users the ability to manage all Microsoft Power Platform environments on the tenant, including the ability to create and backup environments. It is the most appropriate and least privileged role to grant for the scenario. The Global Admin role in Microsoft 365 provides the most excessive privileges across the tenant, including the ability to manage all Microsoft Power Platform environments. It is generally advised to curtail the usage of this role, and assigning this role would not adhere to the principle of least privilege. The Dynamics 365 Admin role traditionally has been used to maintain Microsoft Power Platform environments. However, the role is now deprecated, meaning its usage is discouraged. There is also the requirement that the users in question can manage all environments. This role would only allow them to manage the environments if they are a member of the corresponding security group. Granting the system administrator role on a per-environment level ensures the organization can adhere to the principle of least privilege. But because the users in question have the requirement to manage all environments on the tenant, this role would not give them the minimum level of privileges they require. You are gathering requirements for a financial company that has complex security requirements. The company uses Active Directory on-premises as its primary identity provider. The company has not used any Microsoft Cloud services previously and does not use a federated identity solution. After gathering the requirements, you determine that all users must access the Microsoft Power Apps Maker portal using Single Sign-On (SSO). You need to recommend the appropriate architecture. Your solution must minimize administrative overhead. What should you recommend? Option 1, Microsoft Entra ID Connect. Option 2, Microsoft Entra ID. Option 3, Active Directory Federation Services, ADFS. Option 4, Cloud-Only Identities. Correct answers: Microsoft Entra ID Connect. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the Microsoft Power Platform security model and how to reconcile it against a complex set of requirements. To streamline and simplify an SSO deployment, Microsoft Entra ID Connect can be deployed to synchronize on-premises Active Directory identities with their corresponding Microsoft Entra ID objects. Once implemented, this can then be extended to support SSO. For organizations that already use a Federated Identity Service, ADFS may be the most appropriate option to consider. In the context of the scenario, however, introducing this component could result in significant administrative complexity and cost, which needs to be avoided. Using cloud-only identities would mean that users must re-authenticate every time they access Microsoft Power Platform services. This would not meet the requirements for SSO. Although Microsoft Entra ID B2B can be used in conjunction with specific Microsoft Power Platform services, such as a Power Pages site, it is not an appropriate identity provider for accessing and managing various Microsoft Power Platform sites, such as the Maker portal, which is what the scenario requires. You are implementing a Microsoft Power Platform solution. You need to collect information from user stories to complete the fit/gap analysis. Which two pieces of information should you collect for each user story? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, estimate. Option 2, level of effort. Option 3, priority. Option 4, related user stories. Option 5, stakeholders. Correct answers, level of effort and priority. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of a fit/gap analysis. The information needed from user stories for a fit/gap analysis are priority and level of effort. The priority factor prioritizes items against each other. This is needed because the outcome of a fit/gap analysis should be a prioritized and sized list of items to implement. The level of effort determines how much work is required for an item and is a needed piece of information for the fit/gap analysis. Although it is important to know who the stakeholders are, this information is not needed for a fit/gap analysis. An estimate is a more realistic guess of how much time a work item will take, usually in hours, days, or story points. To create a proper estimate, you would need to dig deeper into a user story, and this is not needed during a fit/gap analysis. You do not need to know what the related user stories are to perform a fit/gap analysis. You are implementing a solution based on Microsoft Power Platform. You are planning an integration with a third-party system by using Microsoft Power Automate. The system provides a RESTful API. You need to determine the first step in the integration. What is the first step you should perform? Option 1, verify whether there is a certified connector for the system. Option 2, verify whether there is an open-source connector for the system. Option 3, create a custom connector for the system. Option 4, write an Azure function to integrate with the system. Correct answers: verify whether there is a certified connector for the system. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the process of analyzing whether Microsoft Power Platform has a specific capability. For this scenario, you should first check whether there is already a certified connector for the identified system. If there is not one, you should check for an open-source connector. If you cannot find an open-source connector, you could begin creating your own custom connector. An Azure function to integrate with another system is nearly always an option. But for this scenario, there is an easier and faster way that you should take first. You are part of a team working on a Microsoft Power Platform project. A functional consultant on the team reports issues with a one-to-many (1EN) relationship that is configured in Microsoft Dataverse. Related rows in the table are left orphaned in the system instead of being deleted. The behavior for share and assign works as expected. You need to recommend a solution to the problem. Which type of relationship behavior should you advise the functional consultant to use? Option 1, custom. Option 2, parental. Option 3, referential. Option 4, referential, restrict, delete. Correct answers: custom. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of working with relationships and the different cascading behaviors available. The behavior type custom would allow the functional consultant to change the delete action type while still retaining the desired action for share and assign. Based on this scenario, you can determine that referential is the currently configured behavior type. Changing the behavior type to parental would not solve the problem because the current actions of share and assign are working as expected. These actions would be changed to cascade all if the behavior type were set to parental. Changing the behavior type to referential, restrict, delete would also not solve the problem because although the share and assign actions would still work as expected, the user would be prevented from deleting a parent row if any child rows exist. You are performing a discovery with an energy company. The company wants to create a connected worker app that can be used to perform equipment inspections. The app must meet the following requirements. Runs on a heavy-duty device. Has UI with a simple layout and large buttons and fields. Is available for workers who are working offline. Supports inspection data that is integrated from SAP. You need to identify the appropriate app type to support the requirements. Which app type should you select? Option 1, Portal. Option 2, Canvas. Option 3, model-driven. Option 4, Microsoft Teams. Correct answers, Canvas. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying an organization's existing business processes and mapping the requirements and data sources to the appropriate Power Apps app. A Canvas app provides the flexible and customizable interface needed to create the inspection app with an easy-to-follow layout and large buttons and fields. A Canvas app also will support going offline, will work across heavy-duty devices, and will connect to various data sources such as SAP. Model-driven apps are built using predefined components, such as forms, views, and dashboards, which are automatically generated based on the data model in Dataverse. The requirements state the app will be based on data in SAP and require a highly personalized UI, which does not fit model-driven apps. Portal apps are designed to create external-facing websites or portals. They are driven by Dataverse data and use model-driven forms and views as a framework to show Dataverse data. Therefore, a portal app does not meet the stated requirements. The Microsoft Teams app is a productivity companion app used as a collaboration platform and hub to bring together chat, video meetings, file storage, and app integration in one interface. The Microsoft Teams app is not configurable like a Power Apps app is and, therefore, will not meet the stated requirements. You are preparing for the go-live of a Microsoft Power Platform solution to replace an existing business system. The project stakeholders agree on a time for all migration activities to take place. The stakeholders also decide on a hypercare period to deal with urgent issues. You need to ensure the go-live proceeds as planned. What should you do? Option 1, begin user training for the solution. Option 2, start testing the solution. Option 3, ensure the availability of project team members. Option 4, disable access to the system that is being replaced. Correct answers: ensure the availability of project team members. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of deployment planning. It is important that the critical members of the project team are available as part of key go-live activities. A solution architect will be expected to be available and very often will be the first point of contact if any issues occur. User training, although important, should be done well in advance of any system go-live because adoption and satisfaction can be affected severely if you commence user training following the go-live of a solution. Testing of any solution should take place either throughout the current work iteration or sprint or as part of a dedicated phase of the project. This should be completed well in advance of any go-live and is not a strict dependency. Access to any existing systems should ideally be maintained for a minimum period during and after any go-live because situations may arise where access is still required. The immediate revocation of access to these systems could cause business disruption. You are preparing requirements for a Microsoft Power Platform project. You need to ensure all requirements can be tested. What should you include in the requirements? Option 1, who needs the requirement? Option 2, the purpose of the requirement. Option 3, the acceptance criteria for the requirement. Option 4, the intended outcome of the requirement. Correct answers: the acceptance criteria for the requirement. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of structuring requirements correctly. Acceptance criteria provide the primary mechanism to ensure a requirement can ultimately be satisfied. Although it is useful in other respects, acceptance criteria is typically relied upon by testing teams as they attempt to evaluate whether a requirement has been implemented correctly. Testing teams use acceptance criteria when compiling test cases. Establishing who needs the requirement will identify the target audience or a persona who will benefit from the requirement after it has been implemented. However, determining who needs the requirement will not provide any criteria to allow testing teams to validate whether the requirement has been implemented correctly. Establishing the purpose of the requirement identifies the business reason or benefit to be realized after the requirement has been implemented. This is typically not useful for testing teams because it does not provide the required level of detail to assess against. Establishing the intended outcome of the requirement identifies the task or action that the requirement will seek to resolve. This will typically be connected to a business process or the target audience, which does not provide the low-level details needed to assist in testing a requirement. You are reviewing JavaScript code that a developer wrote for a Microsoft Power Platform project. You observe that the developer implemented the code by using retrieve multiple calls to retrieve a single row from a Microsoft Dataverse table. The code retrieves data using a secondary key from an external system. You need to recommend an approach to simplify the code. What should you recommend the developer use? Option 1, an alternate key. Option 2, the $expand query parameter. Option 3, a fetch XML query. Option 4, the $filter query parameter. Correct answers, an alternate key. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of alternate keys and their potential usage cases in Dataverse. Based on the scenario, the developer could use an alternate key to change the retrieve multiple call into a single retrieve action, thereby greatly simplifying the code. Alternate keys provide a mechanism for developers to interact with a single table row in a Dataverse environment in situations where the row's GUID value is not known. This can be useful for integration scenarios involving secondary key values. Using a fetch XML query would not be appropriate and could potentially complicate the code even further. Fetch XML is the proprietary querying language for the Dataverse platform and is typically used for more complex scenarios where multiple rows need to be returned. It is not an appropriate tool to use to retrieve a single scalar row. Using either the $filter or $expand query parameter would also not be appropriate in this scenario. The $filter query parameter is typically used to return numerous rows and is not an appropriate parameter to use to retrieve a single scalar row. The $expand parameter helps to retrieve related attributes to the current row in a streamlined manner. You are validating a model-driven app that a developer implements. The developer used JavaScript on the account form to hide or show sensitive columns based on user input. You need to explain the core security issue of this design to the developer. What should you explain to the developer? Option 1, app-level security is restricting access to the app. Option 2, form-level security is limiting certain security groups' access to the account form. Option 3, account data is being saved outside Microsoft Dataverse. Option 4, the data is insecure and can be accessed from other places in the app. Correct answers: the data is insecure and can be accessed from other places in the app. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of setting up and validating the security layers available in Microsoft Power Platform. In the scenario, the developer used JavaScript to hide and show sensitive columns on a form. This does not truly implement platform-level security, however. It is an example of client-side scripting. A solution architect should be concerned by the use of JavaScript because the developer is not securing the data, and users can still access the data in other ways, such as with advanced find or edit in Excel Online. App-level security would be enforcement at the platform level and would restrict access to the entire app. There is no indication that app-level security is being used or that this is a security concern. With form-level security, you can allow only specific security groups to access specific forms within a model-driven app. Form-level security is useful if you want to restrict by job role how people enter or view data. It is clear in the scenario that the developer has not taken this approach and that a security concern has been introduced elsewhere. All model-driven app data is stored and surfaced from Dataverse, including the account data that is stored in a standard table. You are working on a Microsoft Power Platform implementation. The implementation must meet the following requirements. The name of a table row must remain the same when a row is changed or created. Rows must be named according to specified rules. The calculated name must appear immediately after a user saves a row. You need to determine the processing approaches to use in the implementation. Which two processing approaches should you select? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, asynchronous. Option 2, client-side. Option 3, server-side. Option 4, synchronous. Correct answers: server-side, synchronous. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of how custom code can be pre-processed. As required in the scenario, for users to receive immediate feedback after they save a row, the code must calculate the name synchronously. If you use an asynchronous approach, the calculation will not be received immediately. Server-side processing is also required for the scenario because the naming must remain the same every time, no matter how the row was created. When a calculation is processed on the server side, it will apply to integrations as well. Only with this approach can you ensure you always use the same logic to calculate the name. When the calculation is processed on the client side, the calculation of the name will not apply to the integration. As a result, the integration will not use the same naming logic. You are working on a Microsoft Power Platform project for a company. The company has yet to define its overall objectives as part of the project. You need to identify a key success criterion for the project. What should you identify? Option 1, allocate 100% of the project's budget. Option 2, increase new customer onboarding time by 10%. Option 3, reduce annual IT expenditure by 15%. Correct answers: reduce annual IT expenditure by 15%. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of evaluating and proposing key success criteria for a project. Identifying customer pain points and establishing a comprehensive outcome for a project that can be measured accurately are vital to ensure the success of the solution can be determined after delivery. These success criteria should be identified and captured as early as possible during the project lifecycle. For this scenario, reducing IT expenditure by 15% represents a comprehensive outcome and, therefore, a success criterion. Fully consuming the budget for a project does not address a pain point or save money for an organization. As much as possible, efficiencies should be identified and realized to avoid fully consuming a project's budget. Increasing new customer onboarding times does not address a pain point in the organization because this will likely lead to customer frustration. You are working on a Microsoft Power Platform project that involves several integrations built by developers and several environments. Each environment has separate endpoints for each integration. As part of testing and planning for the go-live, the project team informs you that many activities are time-consuming and prone to error. You need to identify which key activities can be automated to streamline efforts. Which 2 activities can you automate? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, Connection Management. Option 2, Service Endpoint Configuration. Option 3, Team Records Creation. Option 4, Upsert of Reference Data. Option 5, Webhook Configuration. Correct answers: Team Records Creation, Upsert of Reference Data. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of planning the go-live and automating key activities. The Configuration Migration tool can be used to automate the migration of references and other table data between Dataverse environments. The tool can be run manually or also triggered automatically via Microsoft Power Platform CLI and Azure pipelines in Azure DevOps. For this reason, the Configuration Migration tool can be used to update reference data between environments and to automate the creation of team records in a target Dataverse environment. Configuring service endpoints that target Azure resources and webhook-based integrations must be done manually via the plugin registration tool. It is not possible to automate their creation if each environment has different URLs for these endpoints. Managing connections used for flows and apps can be automated to a limited extent via connection references, but the creation of the underlying connections must always be done manually. There is no option or capability to automate this. You are working on a Microsoft Power Platform project. Developers are developing similar functionality and interfaces across each Microsoft Power Apps Canvas app. You need to recommend how to eliminate this duplication of effort. Which 2 features should the developers use? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, .ms app files. Option 2, Canvas components. Option 3, HTML web resources. Option 4, Microsoft Power Apps Component Framework Controls. Correct answers: Canvas components, Microsoft Power Apps Component Framework Controls. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying opportunities and features that promote component reuse. Canvas components allow makers to create reusable building blocks that can be used across different Microsoft Power Apps Canvas apps. Canvas components provide an ideal opportunity to reuse components and to reduce the amount of development effort when building multiple apps. Microsoft Power Apps Component Framework Controls allow developers to create reusable code components that can be used in Microsoft Power Apps and Microsoft Power Pages. Microsoft Power Apps component framework controls provide an ideal opportunity for reusability and to reduce the amount of development effort when building multiple apps. Using an .ms app file for a Canvas app through exporting and importing is not an efficient mechanism for replicating Canvas app functionality due to the steps involved and additional development effort required in each new application. An HTML web resource can be used to replicate functionality and interfaces across different applications. However, they can be used only in model-driven apps. You are working on a Microsoft Power Platform project. During planning for the current sprint, the project team creates a list of requirements for the next build effort. You need to verify that the requirements are technically accurate. Which requirement should you identify as technically accurate? Option 1. A custom stored procedure must be run within Microsoft Dataverse. Option 2. A Cloudflow automation must be run synchronously. Option 3. A model-driven app must be created for external users by using Microsoft Entra ID. Option 4. A Microsoft Power BI visualization must be embedded within a Canvas app. Correct answers. A Microsoft Power BI visualization must be embedded within a Canvas app. Explanation. This item tests the candidate's knowledge of confirming the technical accuracy of requirements. Power BI visualizations can be embedded easily into different Canvas Power Apps, which makes this a technically valid requirement. Dataverse as a software as a service (SaaS) platform does not support the ability for users to access the underlying Microsoft SQL Server database and create stored procedures. This represents a requirement that is not technically accurate. All cloud flows within Microsoft Power Automate must run asynchronously. This represents a requirement that is not technically accurate. Classic workflows are the only automation that can run synchronously. Model-driven apps can be run only by internal users existing on the current Microsoft Entra ID tenant. To meet the requirement in this scenario, Microsoft Power Pages would need to be implemented instead. You are working on a Microsoft Power Platform project. The solution requires a custom Microsoft Power BI visual. You need to recommend a solution to implement the visual using the least amount of effort. What should you recommend? Option 1. Create a .bivs file. Option 2. Implement an R-based visual. Option 3. Use a Microsoft AppSource visual. Option 4. Write code for a Python-based visual. Correct answers. Use a Microsoft AppSource visual. Explanation. This item tests the candidate's knowledge of using AppSource to address gaps in Power BI. When evaluating and addressing gaps in any Microsoft Power Platform solution, AppSource should be the first destination a solution architect goes to for solutions. Microsoft, an independent software vendor, ISV, partners deploy many different solutions on AppSource that target different industries, use cases, and scenarios. Finding a solution on AppSource can eliminate the need for any custom development work. Although it is possible for developers to build a custom visual by using R or Python or by authoring a .bivs file by using TypeScript, this often requires dedicated knowledge and effort to deploy a working solution. Custom development should be avoided when a solution is already available. You are working on a Microsoft Power Platform project. You are applying Agile principles to the project. During sprint planning, you observe that a requirement that involves integration with a single ERP system now includes additional business systems. These systems have yet to be analyzed. You need to determine the appropriate action to take regarding the requirement. What should you do first? Option 1. Revise the requirement. Option 2. Create a user story for the requirement. Option 3. Add the requirement to the next sprint. Option 4. Perform an evaluation of the requirement. Correct answers. Perform an evaluation of the requirement. Explanation. This item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying and handling scope creep in requirements. If a requirement begins to change or develop from its original assumptions, this should be discussed and reviewed as soon as possible. By doing so, all stakeholders on the project can evaluate how to handle this, including if other actions need to occur, such as a change request. Adding the requirement to the next sprint with the changes included will almost certainly result in scope creep because the effect of these changes has not been evaluated properly and could affect project timelines and estimates. Revising a requirement without first discussing and reviewing it with the wider project team is not appropriate because there might be wider business effects that need to be considered. In addition, the new requirement might be important enough that it needs to be delivered as part of the solution. Creating a new user story for the requirement to describe the additional changes will almost certainly result in scope creep because the effect of these changes has not been properly evaluated and could affect project timelines and estimates. You are working on a Microsoft Power Platform project. You deploy apps, processes, and other components to a user acceptance testing (UAT) environment. During testing, users report that processes that populate lookup columns with reference data are switched off. You need to recommend a solution to ensure the processes work as expected in all environments. What should you recommend? Option 1. Re-import the solution as managed. Option 2. Use the configuration migration tool to import all data. Re-import the solution. Option 3. Fix the processes manually in the UAT environment. Option 4. Recreate the data manually and switch the processes on. Correct answers: use the configuration migration tool to import all data. Re-import the solution. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of working with configuration and reference data. Specifically, it tests the candidate's understanding of the usage scenarios and importance of the configuration migration tool. A key benefit of using the configuration migration tool, particularly in respect to reference or configuration data, is that it will ensure row IDs are persisted with the same values in all environments. This is important if a developer or functional consultant has implemented business logic that is reliant on this data, because components such as business rules will rely on the row ID as opposed to the primary name column. Therefore, a solution architect should guide and encourage the project team to use this tool if the need arises. For the current scenario, using the configuration migration tool and re-importing the solution will fix the issue, because then the processes will have the data required to activate them successfully. Re-importing the solution as managed, although recommended for all non-development environments, will not address the underlying issue because the reference and configuration data with the correct IDs will still be missing in the environment. Fixing the processes manually could potentially resolve the issue with the processes but will not ensure the issue is resolved in other environments later. Recreating the data manually will not fix the issue because the processes in question rely on the individual row ID, not the primary name column value. Recreating the rows results in different IDs to be generated for them. You are working with a bank that is undergoing digital transformation. The bank completes the initial customer discovery meeting. The project sponsor wants you to gather business process feedback from across the organization. The sponsor notices that some key users are reluctant to speak openly. You need to get these users' feedback. What should you do? Option 1. Review the user's role guide. Option 2. Send the users an anonymous survey. Option 3. Interview the users in a workshop. Correct answers: send the users an anonymous survey. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the types of discovery meetings that are available and where different communication strategies can be applied to solicit a user's feedback in business processes. Surveys with questions that are targeted at specific roles can yield requirements and offer the chance to receive anonymous feedback. In this scenario, a survey is the best way to gain insight into the needs of users who are not comfortable speaking in front of others and who might prefer to provide feedback anonymously. A role guide will not provide feedback on users' first-hand experiences with the current process. A role guide is intended to be an internal document that covers key expectations for a specific role, the purpose of the role, and where the role fits in the organization. A workshop setting involves bringing together many stakeholders in a group setting where sharing is needed. In the scenario, the key users in question may be uncomfortable with this process and choose not to engage or share, and therefore their requirements will be missed. You are working with a banking client to build a Microsoft Power Apps app with customer greeting. The client has strict security, compliance, and reporting policies. The bank's chief technology officer requires that all Microsoft Power Platform app creation edits and publishing events be monitored and available for reporting in the Microsoft Purview compliance portal. You need to identify the appropriate monitoring capability for the client's requirements. Which capability should you use? Option 1. Column level security. Option 2, Dataverse auditing. Option 3, export to Excel. Option 4, Power Apps activity logging. Correct answers: Power Apps activity logging. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the security and compliance options available for audit tracking when deploying an application. Power Apps activity logging is the process of auditing data reads and other app operations from Dataverse and having them logged to the Microsoft Purview compliance portal. This includes logging user operations such as app creation edits and publishing events. Activity logging is a setting that must be enabled, and it is designed to help meet compliance objectives like those mentioned in the scenario. Dataverse auditing is focused on logging changes that are made to customer records within a Dataverse environment. The audit logs are only stored in Dataverse and can be viewed in the Audit History tab for a single record and in the Audit Summary view for all audited operations within a single environment. Dataverse auditing by itself does not support event tracking to the Microsoft Purview compliance portal as required in the scenario. Exporting data from a model-driven app to Excel is a standard reporting capability. It is not, however, a mechanism to track and monitor events for auditing. Column-level security is specific to the privileges that are provided by a security role to operate at a table row level. Column-level security has no effect on auditing and monitoring events or connectivity to the Microsoft Purview compliance portal. You are working with a banking customer to plan and design their implementation of Microsoft Power Platform. You need to provide reference architecture documentation that aligns the implementation to Microsoft best practices. What should you provide? Option 1, Wireframe. Option 2, Fit/Gap Analysis. Option 3, Power Platform Roadmap. Option 4, Microsoft Power Platform Landing Zones. Option 5, Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats, SWOT, Analysis. Correct answers: Microsoft Power Platform Landing Zones. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the Microsoft Power Platform solution design process and of the correct use cases for the various assets that are available. The Power Platform Landing Zones repo is a comprehensive reference architecture and design methodology package that consists of design principles organizations can use to determine their overall architecture for Microsoft Power Platform. The Power Platform Landing Zones material is aligned to the Center of Excellence adoption framework and product roadmap so a solution architect can make informed design decisions. A SWOT analysis is performed during a project to guide the project team's decisions toward a better outcome. The Power Platform Roadmap does not provide reference architecture guidance. It is a release planner site to help organizations prepare for new and upcoming features of Microsoft Power Platform. A wireframe is used to demonstrate a design or prove a proposed solution as part of the design process. Conducting a fit/gap analysis is a project activity used to identify differences between known requirements and a proposed solution. You are working with a client in the healthcare industry. The client uses Microsoft Power Platform. The client has strict security and compliance regulations. The client requires that only employees with a certain certificate have access to the medical ID numbers of contacts in the contact table. You need to identify the appropriate functionality to implement the requirement. Which Microsoft Power Platform capability should you use? Option 1, Microsoft Entra ID Security Group. Option 2, Business Unit. Option 3, Column Level Security. Option 4, Security Role. Correct answers: Column Level Security. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of different security aspects in Microsoft Power Platform. Column level security can be used to limit access to certain columns on a table. This makes it the appropriate choice for the scenario because you could set it up to allow only certain people to have access to the content of the medical ID number column. Security roles cannot be used to limit the access to specific columns. They are used to give access to certain tables on different levels. Microsoft Entra ID security groups are used to synchronize people to Dataverse and the correct team. They cannot limit access to a certain column. Business units are used to separate rows into different silos. For example, this is used for different departments. Business units cannot limit the access to specific columns. You are working with a company to implement a solution that uses Microsoft Power Platform. You are performing a fit/gap analysis. The company adds a requirement for the implementation. You need to determine the feasibility of the requirement. What should you do? Option 1. Set up a proof of concept. Option 2. Set up a demonstration of the solution that includes the requirement. Option 3. Implement an alpha version of the solution that includes the requirement. Option 4. Implement a minimum viable product (MVP) that includes the requirement. Correct answers: set up a proof of concept. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of how to determine feasibility. A proof of concept is appropriate to assess whether a function is a fit or gap. During a proof of concept, you implement the key points of a requirement to determine its feasibility. A proof of concept will be removed as soon as it is determined whether the requirement is a fit or gap. A proof of concept should never be moved to production. A demonstration usually showcases functionality that is already present. It does not determine whether something is a fit or gap. It is used to explain how something works. Implementing any part of the requirement in any form, such as an MVP or an alpha version of the solution, during a fit/gap analysis is not recommended. You are working with a customer on a Dynamics 365 implementation. You are setting the environment strategy. You need to select the environment type of the development environment. Which environment type should you use? Option 1, Development. Option 2, Production. Option 3, Sandbox. Option 4, Trial. Correct answers: Sandbox. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the different types of environments. The development environment type should be a sandbox environment. The production environment type is intended for production. The development environment type is intended for personal use and learning. The trial environment type is intended for testing new functionality and creating POCs. You are working with a customer to define a new model-driven app that will replace an existing system. You need to determine what the current app experience looks like. What should you ask the customer for? Option 1, a process model. Option 2, a wireframe. Option 3, a data model. Option 4, a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats (SWOT) analysis. Correct answers: a wireframe. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying existing systems and processes and communicating how that will translate into a new solution. Using a wireframe is a great way to visually illustrate what a solution looks like using elements such as forms, dashboards, and visualizations. This will help the solution architect understand the look and feel of the existing solution and how that translates to the current business processes. Process modeling involves capturing and documenting the various activities, inputs, outputs, decisions, and interactions within a process to better understand its flow, logic, and behavior. Process modeling will not visually illustrate what the existing system looks like. Data modeling is a conceptual representation of how data is organized, stored, and accessed within a system or database. The data model will not visually illustrate what the existing solution looks like. A SWOT analysis is used to help guide project decisions toward a better outcome. You are working with a customer to finalize the requirements for their Microsoft Power Platform solution. The statement of work defines that any integrations to external systems are out of scope for the project. The customer provides a list of requirements to review. You need to identify the requirements that are correctly structured. Which 3 requirements should you select? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, as a contact center agent, I need all information entered in the system to be reflected in Dynamics 365 customer service so that I can reduce the amount of duplicate data entry required. Option 2, as a field agent, I must be able to use the application from my mobile device so that I can submit information on the customer's site. Option 3, as an executive, I must be able to use the application. Option 4, as a contact center agent, I need the ability to log details of my phone calls so that I can quickly understand the customer's previous issues. Option 5, backups of all environments must be restorable within 1 hour. Correct answers: as a field agent, I must be able to use the application from my mobile device so that I can submit information on the customer's site. As a contact center agent, I need the ability to log details of my phone calls so that I can quickly understand the customer's previous issues. Backups of all environments must be restorable within 1 hour. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of functional and non-functional requirements and the candidate's ability to ensure these requirements are structured correctly during the early stages of a project. To ensure a functional requirement can be delivered effectively, it should always include the who, the user or group of users in the organization, what they need to do, and why, the reason and value. Therefore, the following are 2 correctly structured requirements. As a contact center agent, I need the ability to log details of my phone calls so that I can quickly understand the customer's previous issues, and as a field agent, I must be able to use the application from my mobile device so that I can submit information on the customer's site. Non-functional requirements differ from functional requirements in that they typically relate to non-behavior aspects of a solution. Non-functional requirements should always provide a clearly feasible objective and a corresponding measurement that allows you to determine compliance towards the requirement. Therefore, backups of all environments must be restorable within 1 hour is a correctly structured non-functional requirement. Functional requirements should also be aligned to what has been agreed upon from a deliverability standpoint, and as much as possible, scope creep should be avoided. If it is not, this could lead to an adverse effect on a project's success. Therefore, the following are 2 incorrectly structured requirements. As a contact center agent, you are working with a financial services company based in the European Union to implement a Microsoft Power Platform solution. You compile the requirements and determine that the application must be simple and meet the following criteria. Includes a data store. Stores personally identifiable information, PII. Stores long credit card numbers. You need to ensure the requirements can be implemented. What should you do first? Option 1, provide an estimate of the implementation. Option 2, determine the priority of the requirements. Option 3, verify the solution can be delivered by using low-code tools. Option 4, consult with a legal subject matter expert on the requirements. Correct answers: consult with a legal subject matter expert on the requirements. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of determining the feasibility of a requirement before it is implemented. Depending on the type of organization, an organization might face legal or regulatory challenges when implementing certain user requirements. For example, organizations located within the European Union are subject to the General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR), and organizations working with credit card information need to comply with the Payment Card Industry (PCI) Data Security Standard (DSS). Each of these could make implementing specific requirements, such as storing credit card numbers or PII, more difficult and require additional checks or justifications. It is important that these checks are performed as early as possible with an appropriate legal expert. Providing an estimate for a requirement that has not been validated first for potential legal or regulatory issues is an inefficient use of time because the requirement might have to be revised or abandoned. Determining the priority of a requirement that has not been validated first for potential legal or regulatory issues is also an inefficient use of time because the requirement may have to be revised or abandoned. Because the requirements in the scenario specify that a simple app and data store are required, the low-code capabilities of Microsoft Power Platform, such as Power Apps and Dataverse, can be used. However, until the regulatory or legal aspects are discussed, it is possible these tools cannot be used. In addition, performing this analysis before validating for potential legal or regulatory issues is inefficient because the requirements may have to be revised or abandoned. You are working with a non-profit organization to implement a solution that uses Microsoft technologies. The solution will handle the non-profit's daily business. The main area of focus is managing cases of donations and volunteers. You need to recommend the approach for the implementation. The solution must minimize development time and cost. Which 2 approaches should you recommend? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Option 1, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Sales. Option 2, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Customer Service. Option 3, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Nonprofit Accelerator. Option 4, Microsoft Cloud for Nonprofit. Option 5, Custom Power Apps Solution. Correct answers: Microsoft Dynamics 365 Nonprofit Accelerator, Microsoft Cloud for Nonprofit. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the Microsoft offerings for nonprofit organizations. Dynamics 365 Nonprofit Accelerator and Microsoft Cloud for Nonprofit are specifically for nonprofits, and both satisfy the requirements in the scenario. Both sales and customer service can implement some of the requirements, but they would require a significant amount of customization to meet the organization's needs. Building a custom Power Apps solution is possible, but it would require a significant amount of customization and project management overhead. You are working with a retail customer who plans to retire an existing application. The customer will go live on their new Microsoft Power Platform app. During final user acceptance testing, UAT, one team reports that a core functionality they use is missing from the new app. You need to ensure the go live proceeds successfully as planned. What should you do? Option 1. Migrate all users to a dummy production environment. Option 2. Run the existing app and new app in parallel until issues are resolved. Option 3. Prioritize the data migration efforts for important data. Option 4. Automate all go-live activities to reduce risks. Correct answers: run the existing app and new app in parallel until issues are resolved. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of the factors that could affect go-live readiness and the approaches that are available to address potential problems. When there are issues before a go-live, you can run an older system and new app in parallel as a good solution, although it is not ideal. It ensures you can still go live and meet the needs of your users, but it will give you time to slowly move groups of users over as issues with the new app are addressed. Moving users to a dummy production environment is an approach that is used only to resolve potential access issues before a go-live. Prioritizing the data migration activities by importance of the data will not address the missing core functionality in the new app from the scenario. This approach ignores the team's concerns and assumes the go-live will proceed unchanged. Automating go-live activities to reduce effort and risks will not address the missing core functionality in the new app. This approach will only optimize the automation of the go-live, but it will not accommodate or plan for the missing functionality. You are working with an online retailer who is designing a new Microsoft Power Apps app. The retailer needs to integrate the app into an e-commerce payment platform by using Microsoft Dataverse Web API. The integration must first identify whether a customer exists based on their email address. If the email address is found, the customer will be updated in the payment platform. If the email address is not found, a new customer record will be created from the details provided in Dataverse. You need to identify the appropriate operation to meet the requirements. What should you use? Option 1. Execute. Option 2. Query. Option 3. Update. Option 4. Upsert. Correct answers: upsert. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing integrations between Microsoft Power Platform and other systems by using the available Dataverse services. The upsert operation is the simplest integration approach because it combines the create and update operations into a single action. In the scenario, the upsert operation will check whether a record with a specific email address already exists in Dataverse. If the record exists, the operation updates the existing record with the provided data. If the record doesn't exist, the operation creates a new record. The execute operation is used to trigger and execute workflows programmatically as part of an integration. The workflows themselves would require additional steps to meet the requirements. The update operation meets only half of the requirements because it can only modify existing records within a Dataverse table, not create them. The query operation is used to retrieve data from Dataverse tables using a query language. It is not used to create or update records. You are working with an organization in the energy services sector to implement a case management application. You need to recommend the appropriate way to implement the application in Microsoft Power Platform. The recommendation must minimize the time required to build and deploy the application. What should you recommend? Option 1. Build a custom Microsoft Power Apps app. Option 2. Implement Dynamics 365 customer service. Option 3. Use an industry accelerator. Option 4. Use a third-party connector. Correct answers: implement Dynamics 365 customer service. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of Dynamics 365 applications and how the applications can be used to meet requirements more straightforwardly. Customer service empowers support staff to provide enhanced assistance to their customers. It provides organizations with everything needed to manage the end-to-end lifecycle of support requests. Based on the organization's requirements in the scenario, customer service will provide a faster and more optimal route for deployment. Although it would be viable to create a custom application or use a third-party connector to meet the organization's requirements, these options will take longer to build and deploy. A solution architect should strive to ensure the most optimal and fastest way to business value that using an off-the-shelf solution such as Dynamics 365 can bring. The various industry accelerators available for the automotive, healthcare, nonprofit, and other industries provide a potential way to faster deployment for organizations working in these areas. Because there is no available accelerator for the energy services industry, this option is not practical to ensure a reduced time to value. You complete a Microsoft Power Platform project for a company's financial services division. Members of the project team recommend your solution to colleagues in the energy services division of the company. You are invited to a meeting at short notice with stakeholders from that division. You need to familiarize yourself with the work of the energy services division before the meeting. What should you do? Option 1. Contact the stakeholders. Option 2. Consult the division's website. Option 3. Review the completed solution's blueprint. Correct answers: consult the division's website. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of identifying key information regarding a new or unfamiliar organization. Using a division's website as a research tool before any introductory meeting will allow you to discover key information, such as the work the division is doing, its clients, and the key individuals who work there. Attempting to contact the new stakeholders at short notice would be challenging and not necessary if all you need to do is get answers to questions that could be easily obtained elsewhere. Reviewing the solution blueprint for the project would only be useful in familiarizing yourself with the solution design. It will not provide any useful or meaningful information regarding the division's business activities, its key individuals, and other organizational metrics. You design a model-driven app for a wealth management company. New clients are added to the contact table in Microsoft Dataverse. The company wants to onboard clients first by validating their identity and then by sending them a welcome email. You need to choose the appropriate capability for this workflow. What should you use? Option 1. A business rule. Option 2. A business process flow. Option 3. A roll-up column. Option 4. A scheduled cloud flow. Option 5. A virtual table. Correct answers: a business process flow. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of designing a data-driven process flow within Dataverse and the different orchestration capabilities available to support the scenario. A business process flow is a native Dataverse capability for orchestrating data entry. A business process flow can provide a streamlined guide for people using model-driven app forms to lead them through the stages and steps of a process. In this scenario, the business process flow will be bound to the contact form and include the necessary client onboarding stages. The business process flow can also trigger a workflow or instant cloud flow to distribute the welcome email. Business rules are designed to provide a simple interface for form rules such as setting a column value or hiding a field. Business rules are not capable of running a multi-step process or distributing an email. A scheduled cloud flow in Power Automate performs one or more tasks, such as sending a report and email, on a specified schedule. A scheduled cloud flow can distribute a welcome email on a schedule outside of the model-driven app. It, however, would not be on demand as part of the client onboarding process, nor would it facilitate the actual steps and stages used to onboard the client. A virtual table is a custom table in Dataverse that can contain data from an external data source such as a SQL database. Virtual tables appear in an app to users as regular table rows, but they do not orchestrate any processes or workflow that would satisfy the onboarding requirements. A roll-up column contains an aggregate value computed over the rows related to a specified record. This special type of Dataverse column does not orchestrate any processes or workflow that would satisfy the onboarding requirements. You meet with a new customer and complete the initial discovery conversation. You now understand the customer's business processes and what the project team can and cannot deliver. You need to draft a project plan summary for the project. Which two parameters can you define in the summary based on the initial discovery conversation? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Option 1, the scope. Option 2, the budget. Option 3, the project risks. Option 4, the high-level architecture. Option 5, the problem statement. Correct answers: the scope of the problem statement. Explanation: this item tests the candidate's knowledge of performing an initial customer discovery, identifying and documenting an organization's existing business processes, and drafting a project plan summary. The solution architect understands the existing business processes from the initial discovery meeting and therefore can begin to document the problem statement and business objectives in the draft project plan summary. The architect also understands what will be in scope for the project and what can and cannot be delivered by the project team. There is no indication that any project risks were identified as part of the initial discovery meeting. Risks would be added to the project plan summary as the project progresses. The high-level architecture refers to the overall structure and design of the solution at a high level. This is a project deliverable rather than an asset in the project plan summary. There is no indication in this scenario that the solution architect knows the anticipated costs or budget for the project after the initial meeting. Therefore, it is not currently part of the project plan summary.